Hi, my name is Ethan, and I've been a social media marketing professional since 2014, and this is my free Instagram marketing course. Every time I watch a video about Instagram marketing on YouTube, they always seem to try to sell me their Instagram course, promising me they'll share me all of their insider secrets. So it feels like people are giving you half the information in their video so they can sell you the other half for $500 in a course. So in this video, I'm going to give you all the information that you would expect in one of those courses for free. Jojo, do you want to say something? What do you want to say? Do you want to release a course? What do you want to say to the people? Do you want to release a course? Here's exactly what we're going to talk about in this course. A quick backstory on me, who I am, why I'm giving you this course, and my experience with Instagram. We're going to go over the Instagram basics. Think of this like a general setup guide for Instagram. We're going to talk about the algorithm, how it works. I break down the algorithm in layman's terms so you know how to use it to your advantage. We're going to talk about content strategies. I discuss the general content strategies and how to use them most effectively on Instagram. We're going to talk about growth strategies and maximizing your engagement. I talk about all the various ways to grow on Instagram so you have all the tools you need. We're going to talk about how 99% of people should grow on Instagram. This is pretty self-explanatory. We're just going to talk about how most people should grow on Instagram. Money-making strategies, and this is just going to be an overview on how to make money on Instagram. And then we're going to talk about cool accounts, neat examples, things of interest, and Ethan's opinion corner. This is the finale. This is where I talk about some of the accounts that I like. I wrap things up. I give a few of my opinions. And I really don't know what to name this chapter, but just imagine this chapter is going to look something like this. Feel free to skip to any part of the video. There are timestamps below. I'm going to try and do my best not to waste your time while also trying to be thorough. I included a Notion document link in the description that will have the notes for this course. So if you want to follow along, you can. The document also includes all the links and the accounts that I mentioned in the video, along with some other important links and resources that I've also included. If there are errors or any kind of confusion or I need to make updates, I'll change the Notion sheet. It's possible I'm wrong, and it's possible Instagram changes things, like chronological order in 2022. And if that's the case, I'll make the note in the doc so you'll always be up to date. So let's get started. So a quick backstory on me. So my name is Ethan, and I'm the CEO of Ascend Viral. And Ascend Viral is a marketing agency. And right now we specialize in Instagram marketing, but in the future, we'll probably also expand to TikTok and some other platforms. I've been doing Instagram marketing since 2014. Back in 2014, I was a freshman in college playing 2 Division I sports, American football and track and field. I was broke because I was a freshman in college, obviously, but I had some experience in internet marketing at the time. Not a lot, but I was interested in learning how to make money on Instagram because it seemed like something I could do while I was busy playing sports and doing homework. So I spent a lot of time researching Instagram marketing. I was never the kind of guy to be like the, look at me, follow me on Instagram. I wasn't that guy. So I figured I would try to grow fitness niche accounts. And by the way, I'm going to say niche. I know some people say niche. I'm going to say niche. So I figured I would try to grow fitness niche accounts on Instagram because this was something I was interested in and passionate about. So for about a year, I had a lot of trial and error trying to learn how to grow these fitness accounts. Eventually, I got a lot better at it, and I was growing multiple Instagram accounts to 5-figure, 6-figure followings. At the time, I was also learning how to sell things on Instagram. I was a business major in college, so this was inevitable. So I was 19 to 20 years old maybe at the time. This was the golden era of Instagram back in 2015, 2016, at least in my opinion. And I started getting pretty good at making money with my niche accounts. And there would be days on Instagram as a college freshman where I'd be routinely making anywhere from $500 to $2,000 a day on Instagram. It was a good gig, but, and this is a big but, most of what I was doing back then was sprinkled with a little bit of black hat marketing. And if you don't know what black hat means, essentially it means technically legal things that would still be frowned upon by Instagram. So for example, automating your actions on social media isn't technically illegal, but if Instagram catches you, they'll ban you. That's black hat marketing in a nutshell. And back in the day when I was a bit more naive, I dabbled with that kind of stuff. However, every few months, most of my accounts would get banned and wiped away, and I'd have to start over because I'd occasionally dabble a little too hard. It should go without saying that I do not recommend black hat marketing on Instagram, and we'll talk about why a little later on. But I went through different waves. At times, I do very ethical marketing and growth strategies, and I would build accounts the correct way, or the white hat way, or the approved Instagram way. And around that time in 2016, I started my Instagram marketing company that I mentioned earlier, Ascend Viral. And I started writing down some of the things I was doing, and I sold strategies and all the things that I was learning about Instagram in a PDF for like $20. And it was pretty successful. It was well received. It sold thousands of copies. And it was nice to have consistent revenue that Instagram wasn't going to just randomly wipe away one day. So around the time my ebook was released, I transitioned to basically full-time white hat marketing, focusing on organic growth and ethical marketing strategies because I liked that it was more stable than the black hat marketing that I was doing. Because, not having your accounts being banned by Instagram and having months of work being wiped away in a few seconds, that was pretty nice. So I started playing by the rules. But I had some deserved karma happen to me because about a year after the ebook, I was running an account that had 1.1 million followers, completely white hat, and that account got simmed. And if you don't know what that means, let me break it down. Instagram had a data leak that they covered up where a bunch of large follower accounts' private info was leaked in an Excel file, and it was being sold to various people online. So people would be able to see which phone number, email address, full name was attached to these large Instagram accounts. And then somebody took that information, saw my name, created a fake ID of me, went to an AT&T store and said, "Hey, I lost my phone. Here's my ID. Can you please put this phone number on this phone?" And AT&T did that. And then the scammer did an SMS reset on all my information. And I lost almost everything that was attached to that phone number, including a lot of my Instagram accounts. And there's really nothing I could do to prevent it. It happened to a bunch of people I know. That account had a rare username attached to it, so I didn't have the original information needed to recover the account from Instagram. It was a pretty bad day. The scammer had everything lined up. He was clearly a pro. Within a few minutes, the username was changed. The account was changed to a different username. The email was changed. The phone number was changed. Everything about the account was changed. Ethan Klein from H3H3 made a video about this a few years back if you're interested. This was a really dangerous and popular scam that was going on. And fortunately, I think most of the mobile carriers have improved since then. But I did switch away from AT&T. But honestly, I took that all as karma. And although I was extremely upset about the situation, I was still going to wake up the next day and life was going to continue. So that's when I really decided to put my energy towards Ascend Viral. Because even when I cleaned up my act, the universe and Instagram still had it out for me. So I took my experience and I put it to good use. I've helped lots of people over the years gain followers on Instagram. I've been blessed to meet some really cool people. I've worked with celebrities, influencers, and brands. So it all worked out in the end, and I've been very focused on my company and some other side projects for the past few years now. That being said, all the information in this course is up to date. It's not from 2016. All the information here is very accurate to what we're seeing today on Instagram, and I'm very excited to share it with you. So let's dive in. But before we get started, I need to thank the sponsor of this video, which is the Ridge Wallet. No, I'm kidding. It's Ascend Viral. Yes, okay. I'm sponsoring my own video. This is the only ad that'll appear in this entire video, and it'll be very quick, okay? So Ascend Viral is an Instagram growth service and marketing agency. We have free resources, we have premium resources, and we have free trials. You can check out our Instagram growth service, which has a free trial. You can also track your Instagram analytics on our website for free. You can also download my 200-page ebook that I mentioned earlier for $27 if you want to support the video. A lot of the information in this course might be similar. The ebook may just go a little bit more in depth. On Ascend Viral, I regularly post articles and videos, and there's some other fun stuff you can check out on Ascend Viral. So if you want to check it out, please do. If you don't, you just want to watch the course, then feel free. And we'll get started right now. So Instagram basics. Before I get started, let me just say that there are 3 things that I won't talk about much in this course: Facebook and Instagram ads, anything black hat or potentially damaging to your Instagram account, and specific ways to make money on Instagram. This isn't a course teaching you how to make $200 a day by doing X, Y, and Z. If you're looking for something like that or some kind of spoon-fed method to make money, this course isn't going to be for you. I think Facebook and Instagram ads are great, but that's not really my expertise. I'm not the pay-per-click guy or the ad guy. I'm much more focused on organic growth. So if that's what you're looking for and you want like the pay-per-click kind of stuff, this is not going to be a good video for that. I also don't really want to talk much about or recommend any black hat strategies, but I will mention a few later, not as a way to endorse them or recommend them, but just to go over them. Okay, so like I said earlier, I used to run unethical growth strategies and monetization methods years ago, but it's not worth doing that for various reasons. The biggest reason, though, most black hat strategies, they just don't really work in the long run. If you're ever doing an unethical growth strategy that involves spam or some kind of unethical monetization strategy, it just doesn't last very long before Instagram will kill it. I'll talk about this a little bit later on more in depth, but yeah. So let's talk about Instagram basics and the current state of Instagram. So starting off, I don't like Instagram that much. Let me be clear. I don't like Instagram that much because I want it to be better. Instagram has kind of been a letdown for the past couple of years. When you compare 2015 Instagram to what we have now in 2022, it's a bit of a disappointment. You can tell that the culture has shifted away from Instagram quite a bit. I like TikTok better, but they do serve two different purposes. TikTok is the place where content creators go. I would be doing everybody a disservice if I wasn't upfront about that fact. If your job is to create content, you better be on TikTok. I wrote an article on Ascend Viral called The Great Shift: Why Instagram is Losing to TikTok and Why They Don't Care. That goes into a bit more detail on what's happening with Instagram if you want to take a look at it. I'll try to explain it throughout this video, but that article is there for you if you are interested. Instagram is not a place for elite content creators. It's no longer a photo sharing app. Instagram is now essentially what I firmly believe your mobile homepage. That's what I think Instagram is. The world is increasingly becoming mobile, so Instagram's primary purpose is maintaining your mobile relationship with you and all your followers you have on social media platforms. In the past, you might tell someone, go to my website or check out my Facebook. Now it's pretty much a standard to say, go to my Instagram. So Instagram is now a place where you onboard followers from other platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, etc. Specifically, when it comes to TikTok, it's important to onboard your followers from TikTok because TikTok's attention span is so much lower than Instagram's, but you're bound to get much more organic reach on TikTok compared to Instagram. So if you can bring your audience in from TikTok to Instagram, you have time to build better relationships on Instagram. Instagram is now where you maintain relationships. It's much more personal than TikTok, has a broader range of content than Snapchat. I mean, Instagram is like the personal social network. Snapchat might be personal too, but Instagram is personal and it's also public. So Instagram's utility in having this kind of relationship that you can manage with your followers and your friends is pretty unique on Instagram. Instagram is probably one of the best places to sell things to your followers. It's easier to sell on Instagram than almost any other platform, at least in my opinion. But you can sell on your stories with the link feature, your link in the bio, reels, story highlights, feed posts, and so on. There are more ways to sell on Instagram I think it's easier to sell on Instagram currently than any other platform. So it's important to have your followers on Instagram so you can sell to them. Instagram is also a place where you can just showcase yourself, aka your mobile homepage, like I already stated. You can just show your highlights, you get to show your vulnerability, you show a different side that you won't see on TikTok or YouTube. It's where you can be the most flexible. And I think it's the best app to display yourself, if you know what I mean. All those things are great, but I should mention this. Instagram stars are not really being created anymore. I can't think of any stars that were created in the past 2 years that were on Instagram. Where on TikTok, you have, the D'Amelios, you have Bella Poarch, Addison Rae, KB Lame. You get the picture. Instagram isn't the entertainment app, and the content creators who want to entertain people are going to go to the place where they'll get the most exposure, and that's TikTok. There's not enough content on TikTok, and there's way too much demand. On Instagram, there's too much content and not enough demand. Here's a chart basically showing the takeover of TikTok. Even if this chart only goes into the Gen Z, let me tell you, it won't be long before your grandma is on TikTok, if she isn't already. I know what you're thinking. Ethan, I thought this was an Instagram course. Why are you telling us about TikTok? Because TikTok, I hate to sound like Gary Vee, but because TikTok is actually changing the content game very dramatically. So the first rule of Instagram basics is download TikTok. Because if you're serious about creating content, you have no excuse for not being on TikTok. Whatever your niche is, you'll create better content on Instagram if you know what kind of content your niche is creating on TikTok. Again, I know what you're thinking, Ethan, but I'm a photographer. I want to post photos. I can't post photos on TikTok. They'll only do videos. I understand. Okay, so I understand. Videos are scary. Videos are really scary. For example, I've put off this course forever. I think this course was supposed to originally launch in August of 2021. Videos are scary. You do not need to tell me that videos are scary. But everything is shifting towards videos because videos are more entertaining. People would rather watch an epic video of your photos than to just see your photos. And if you want proof of that, check out Jordy Koaletic. I don't know if I got that name right, but the perfect example of a TikTok star using their audience on TikTok to build their Instagram. He's got like 20 million followers on TikTok and moved the vast majority of his audience to Instagram. It's possible he was on Instagram before TikTok, but his TikTok is really what blew up his Instagram. He also posts these TikTok videos on YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels to get triple the exposure he would have otherwise received. He's easily the best example I can give you. Again, I don't want to sound like Gary Vee and just tell you the future is here and everything is changing, but this type of content is so much more interesting and entertaining than a typical photo. And people are going to demand this from photographers. You don't need to post all your content in video form on Instagram. You can still use photos. I'm just saying this is where the demand is at, and this is your ticket to growth. I think the people who have gained the most followers this year organically on Instagram are TikTokers. It's something to consider. We're at a time now where most people would rather see your family do a TikTok trend than just see a picture of you posting your family. There are a lot of ways to promote your Instagram on TikTok, but the two most common ways I see and recommend are simply pinning a comment telling people to check out your Instagram and simply linking your Instagram in your TikTok bio and telling people in your bio to go follow your Instagram. So in summary, understand the Instagram game has changed. It's not about photos anymore. Consider Instagram as your mobile homepage, and TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts are the ways to drive traffic to your homepage. Think of your feed as your business card, and Reels and TikToks are basically your way of throwing thousands of business cards into a crowded street. Those videos are what brings exposure more than anything right now. Moving on. So now in this section, I just want to make some bullet points about Instagram to keep in mind. I should have mentioned, by the way, this course is not going to be one of those, this is how you write a good bio courses, or this is how you upload a reel, or this is how you create a professional account. I'm kind of assuming that you understand the very, very basics of Instagram and you know how to use Instagram practically. And so many things are going to be different from niche to niche. A good bio or a good profile in one niche is going to be significantly different than a good bio or a good profile, say if like you own a restaurant. So I don't like anybody that tells you there's like a straightforward blueprint, because there's not. If you look at like Gordon Ramsay's bio and profile picture on Instagram compared to Jordy's, it's pretty different. Gordon's bio is cartoonish and short, and Jordy's bio isn't flashy, promotes his stuff, and gets to the point. I'm not going to tell you that Gordon's bio should be different or Jordy's bio should be different. They both serve different purposes, and they're both unique to that person. So my advice regarding profile setup, and although this seems like non-advice or lazy advice, it's the most applicable advice I can give you. Do what your competitors are doing, but make it yours. It's as simple as that. I see way too many people trying to reinvent the wheel or strive way too hard to have like the perfect bio. And at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. I don't think your grid or your bio or your profile are going to be the things that make or break you. I think that's going to come down to your content. Having a nice bio, profile picture, and grid is nice, but it's not something to stress about. Find something that works in your niche, make it yours. There you go. And that leads me to another point. And this point is big and it's a theme throughout this video. Know who your inspiration and competition is. If you don't know this, that's a red flag. Reconsider everything you're doing right now if you don't know this. It's so important to have at least 20 to 30 accounts that inspire you within your niche, within your industry, that you can use to model yourself after. Look, I don't know how to make YouTube videos. This is not my thing. But I like watching those Business Insider videos, and that's why this video looks this way. Please don't sue me. I know you guys like to sue people. Don't sue me. If I had to come up with something original, it probably would have looked worse. Inspiration is good. Stealing is bad. I've made videos on that. Thank you, Insider, for inspiring me. I'm giving you credit. Going back to Instagram, you should follow inspiration and peer accounts. And I'll talk about this a bit more later on. But follow accounts that inspire you and follow accounts that are in your same level so you can see what you can improve upon. Like I said, find at least 20 to 30 accounts that inspire you. You should also look for 20 to 30 peer accounts too. Accounts that are on the same level as you or in the same ballpark as you. For inspiration accounts, look at the top accounts in your niche that get good engagement. If they have 100K followers, they should be getting a few thousand likes per photo, a few dozen comments. They should get reels that get good views. They should post stories frequently and so on. Like, I think the easiest way to find peer and inspiration accounts would be going through hashtags related to your niche. But also, you should know a handful of those on the top of your head. Otherwise, it's kind of a red flag that you're running an account in a niche that you don't know much about. For peer accounts, look for accounts about your size, if not slightly bigger, that post pretty similar content to you. So, for example, if you own a wedding photography business, your inspiration account would be the top wedding photographers in the world, and your peer accounts would be the top wedding photographers in your area. Like I said, we'll circle back to this inspiration and peer account stuff later. It's very important. For instance, if I type in hashtag wedding photography on Instagram, I find a post that has 1.1 million followers, a few thousand likes, seems to be a niche account about wedding photography. This is a good inspiration account, and it took me 5 seconds to find. To find a peer account, so let's say I'm this person in this example. I'm living in Nebraska currently. So I type in hashtag Nebraska wedding, and boom, a bunch of newlyweds pop up, but also a bunch of local Nebraska wedding photographers. I find someone like @Molly Shepard, who happens to be a close friend, and she gets good engagement. So she would be a peer account. If you say something to me like, Ethan, but I'm just on Instagram to make money. I don't want to find inspiration accounts or peer accounts. How do I make money? Perfect. Start with a niche. Find inspiration accounts. Grow an account that you're passionate about and not a make money online niche account. Because if you don't know how to make money online, then you shouldn't be making accounts about that. It's a huge pet peeve of mine. I get questions like that often of people asking me, what's the best niche for making money? The best niche for making money is the niche that you're passionate about because you'll know how to do it best. So as an example, I'm a degenerate gym bro. Okay. Back when I created accounts, I created fitness accounts because that's what I knew best. I knew what to engage with. I knew what worked on me as a consumer. So I replicated that as a content creator. I wouldn't have had the same success I had on Instagram if I had to create content about something that I didn't care about. For example, I don't drink tea. If you asked me to create content on tea, I would have sucked at it. I wouldn't know how to sell it. I wouldn't know what consumers wanted and so on. So your niche is important. Find accounts that perform better than you. See what they're doing better than you. That's going to bring you a long ways. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to create a niche account, but this applies to whatever account you're going to create. In my mind, there are 3 different account types. Okay, there's probably more, but this is the simple way of explaining it. Personal, brand, and niche. So let's start off with personal. A personal account would be like Bradley Martin. Are you sick of the gym references yet? They're not going to stop. I'm going to keep doing gym references. So just be prepared. So a personal account is an account about you, about your interests. You should still obviously niche down, For example, Bradley is a gym bro. He likes lifting. He's going to post about lifting. Now, what's kind of complicated is sometimes I get clients who are just simply lifestyle influencers and they don't have a niche. They're just them. And that's fine, but you should still niche down as hard as you can. It'll make things so much easier. And like if you're a gorgeous model or something, then your niche is being hot. And your posts should consistently be of you being hot. People are going to follow you for a reason, often because of some kind of niche. So if your main niche is being attractive or traveling and you want to decide to stop posting that kind of content, it's going to be tough to grow. So unless your niche is you have an incredible personality and everything you do is super awesome and your fans love you, you'll struggle unless you have a consistent niche. A niche helps build an audience. And I have a quick example here of this girl with 2 million followers. This is from a few years ago. I don't think she was able to sell like 30 t-shirts. And I don't know, I didn't really do much investigating into this, but I don't know if that was because she had fake followers or her followers are worthless or whatever. But it is interesting how just a very general, like these lifestyle influencers, it's very hard for them to build a dedicated fan base because there's nothing really that special about them if all their content is just about their lifestyle. So I think you have two specific routes, either an ultra focused niche with a tight fan base or being the absolute best content creator in a broader niche. It's tough being a mediocre content creator in a general niche. It's easier being a mediocre content creator in an ultra specific niche. So the more specific, the better, especially if you know your content isn't great. I know that's kind of questionable advice, but it's true. You can do better off if your content's not great, if you can get super, super, super specific. But also understand the more specific you go, the amount of people who might find your content interesting also declines. And if like you want to try a bunch of different niches like fashion and travel, a day in your life, basically, by the way, this is like that lifestyle influencer. All of those things need to be connected by something in order to be successful. What's most common is usually being super attractive, it's Instagram, or providing an insane level of value. And the people who crush it usually have both. It's really difficult to make a lifestyle niche popular on Instagram without kind of having some huge audience carryover influence from like YouTube or TikTok and so on. You need to be in the top 1% of your competition when it comes to providing value or being ultra attractive in order to make this kind of stuff work. Trust me, being a lifestyle influencer on Instagram is very, very hard. So if you can on Instagram, it's better to be Sarah the photographer than Sarah the influencer. Or Greg the chef is typically better than Greg with the cool lifestyle. And I'll circle back to this in the next chapter when we talk about how the algorithm works, because Instagram wants you to niche down. They want you to pick a niche. The second type of account we have is a brand account. So for an example, Kylie Cosmetics. It's a brand. It's about a person. It's run by a person, but the account Kylie Cosmetics is a brand. Brand accounts are likely niched down, again, unless you're like a lifestyle brand, which click off this video. But the more specific you can get with your brand, the better. I want to highlight this account because I actually really like this account. This account caught my eye as a consumer. And I mention them not necessarily because their Instagram strategy is great, but because I think they have one of the best brand angles out there. They're a hair company for guys, and their slogan is an alternative to shampoo for guys. And I thought that was really, really interesting. So I just wanted to shout them out from a marketing perspective. I think that's the kind of position you want to be in. They're not a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. They're just a straight up, we're not shampoo, we're something else for your hair. And personally, I saw that and I loved it. I was like instantly intrigued. I was like, what? What's a shampoo alternative? I was hooked. And very rarely am I like, damn, I should like maybe buy this product. And this company made me do that just by having just that thing that made them interesting. I bought it. It's not too bad. But unrelated to modern mammals, there's a point I'd like to make when it comes to marketing your brand on Instagram. Do not make content about your brand if nobody has heard about your brand if you want organic growth. I'm going to say that again. Do not make content about your brand if nobody has heard about your brand if you want organic growth. You can make content about your brand if nobody has heard about your brand. If you want to spend money on ads and paid traffic, then that's fine. But from an organic growth perspective, this is one of the biggest failures I see with brands that approach us. They try to do things like they make memes about their brands or their products, and it almost never works. The owners all think it's like hilarious, but it's never going to be interesting to someone who just stumbles across a page. We'll get into this a little bit more in the content strategy section, but I wanted to bring this up. And then finally, we have a niche account. So for an example here, I have German Shepherds on Instagram. A niche account is just an account that is specific towards a specific niche. Here's a German Shepherds page. This is a niche account. There's no brand and there's no person attached to it. I'm sure you've understand that by now. By the way, I've DM'd this page multiple times. I don't know why JoJo isn't featured yet. One thing to keep note of, if this is the account type you create on Instagram, give credit if you repost content. That's all. Put it in the caption where you got the content from. Tag the creator. I don't think you necessarily need to ask for permission, but it's always a nice gesture. I ran a 1 million follower account that routinely reposted. And of the thousands of content that I've reposted, maybe I've had like 1 or 2 people ask for me to take the content down. Hundreds of other times the creators would express their gratitude for the exposure. So generally speaking, I think it's fine as long as you give credit and aren't being misleading about what you're posting. So that's the 3 different types of accounts. We're going to cover all of these accounts in the course, but that leads us to what your account type should be. And then on Instagram, you could either be a personal account, a creator account, or a business account. Personally, do what you want. I'd say if you're watching this, you probably shouldn't be doing personal. Even if you have a personal niche account, I don't think you should get a personal account type. The extra insights will likely be valuable to you if you get a creator or a business account. And it's a myth that the creator or business account gets you less engagement. So pick one that you think will fit your needs. So to finish up this chapter, let's talk about arguably the most important thing in this course, okay? Your engagement is everything, but not all engagement is treated the same. And I don't mean like saves are better than likes or DMs are better than comments. I don't mean that. I mean that who is engaging with your account is more significant than any other signal that Instagram uses. Write that down. We will circle back to that later. Understand Instagram is going to value the 1% of engaging content on their platform. So if you want truly organic growth on Instagram, you need to be in the elite category of content creation. I do have strategies for the 99% later on, because this video would be way too much work if I was only making it for the 1% of people. But overall, if you aren't doing something different, unique, special, industry shaking, disrupting, anything like that, it's going to be hard to grow on your content alone. So here's where I'll be a meathead again and give you a gym example. So if you're 2 years into lifting and you post your workout routine and everything you know about the gym, are you really going to overshadow someone else who's been lifting for 10 years and they share everything they know about the gym? Who's going to be able to provide more value? Probably not you. I'm not saying you couldn't grow and you couldn't find a market because, maybe you'd be more relatable, but it's tough. Generally speaking, the 1% of the content from the 1% of the people are going to get the push. That doesn't mean growth is impossible for you. And I know there's a ton of factors in this, but that's not the point. But that does mean you'll really need to add some flavor in your content in order to make it stand out if you want to grow on content alone. Again, this is truly only if you want to be in the 1%. For example, maybe all your workout videos, you're dressed in some kind of anime character, or maybe you're the smartest guy when it comes to nutrition and you figure out how to incorporate nutrition as a major theme into your gym content. Something along those lines will be necessary in order to push you into the 1% category. That's only if you want to grow on content alone. If you want viral content, your content needs to be viral and you need to be in the 1%. That's it. Now, even if your content isn't viral, you can still grow. Everything's going to be okay. But if you want the ideal option, that's the ideal option. posting viral content and going viral is always going to be the ideal option. Again, I say all of this because I get this question often when people come to me and they tell me, how do I make my content go viral? How does the algorithm work? And I'm just like, do you post viral content? Because that's how you go viral. There used to be methods where you could go viral without posting viral content if you really, really, really knew the algorithm and you had the right resources to make that happen. That doesn't work anymore. That really doesn't work anymore. So let's talk about how the algorithm works. So how does the algorithm work? So if you want to know how the algorithm works, here's who you should not listen to. Instagram. There are 3 articles here, and I think they're mostly useless. This top article and the accompanied video that the CEO posted is most recent, and they suggest if you're on your homepage, the least important thing that determines the rank of a post is your previous engagement with that poster. I have friends who post dog content. Nobody likes it. They have horrible engagement, but I always like it because I'm a good friend. And that is always at the top of my home feed the second they post it. So because Instagram has no issues with lying to us about how the algorithm works, I'd argue your relationship with the poster is the most important factor in dictating home feed post rankings. This is where people really try to sell you the $500 course and try to give you the physics class on how the connected recommendation gives you these results and the unconnected recommendation gives you these results. It's all nonsense. Instagram will put accounts that you tend to spend the most time with on your feed. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be people that you communicate with frequently, like your friends. But a lot of the people explaining the algorithm try to explain it in like the most complicated way that they can in order to make it look like they have a job and so that they don't get fired. I don't think anyone works in the algorithm department at Instagram. And 2021 was proof of that. No one works there, so I don't know who is making these blog posts at Instagram. But it's actually really easy to summarize how the algorithm works. If you get authentic engagement, then more people will see your posts in hashtags, in the Explore, in Reels, in the home feed, everywhere. There are some factors here, obviously, but that's really about as complex as it needs to be. There's some level of initial reaction that determines your rank, like how well your content does based on the first percentage of people who see it, but that's not nearly as important as you'd think because it all goes back to if you get authentic engagement or not. And if you don't get authentic engagement, your post really won't be seen very much. Good night, everyone. That's how the algorithm works. I'm kidding. But that's really all that matters. If Instagram thinks you're going to enjoy the post and you're going to spend time with the post, it's going to appear on your feed. And how is that determined? By your history with the person posting it and with your interests you've shown on Instagram. And even if there are more complicated factors in it, let me just tell you this right now. It has no value. And you may think I'm generalizing to be overly opinionated for no reason. And you are correct, but the vast majority of people are going to struggle with Instagram growth because they don't post engaging content that their audience will enjoy. If people are scrolling by your post quickly and not interacting with it, it's going to do poorly. If people spend time with it, read your caption, look at your story, visit your profile, comment something meaningful, it's going to do much better in every algorithm that Instagram has. The Reels algorithm, the hashtag ranking algorithm, the Explore ranking algorithm, the home feed ranking algorithm, the stories algorithm. All of it will be improved if you can post content that gets targeted, authentic engagement. If you really want to get into my thoughts on the algorithm, my article, The Great Shift that I mentioned earlier, digs into it a little bit deeper, but I'll emphasize the key points here. So Instagram will punish you for niche switches. Instagram puts a lot of value into what your current followers think of your content. So if you switch niches and your current followers don't vibe with it, you won't get much reach with your new content. If you remember when we talked about why it's better to be Sarah the photographer than Sarah the influencer in the previous chapter, this is why it's important to have a niche, because if Instagram can define you more easily, then they can place you in the best algorithm for you. Here's my controversial opinion that I probably will get flack for. The time spent on an Instagram post is the most important engagement factor. Not likes, not saves, not DMs, not comments. It's the time you spend. If Instagram sees people spending a lot of time on your posts, they'll promote it more and more. Instagram is greedy. They want people on their app as long as possible. So they'll emphasize posts that take 2 to 3 minutes to consume over quick posts that just take 2 seconds to like. Also, Instagram Reels don't follow the typical Instagram algorithm. In summary, the biggest difference is Instagram doesn't care if your Reels don't perform well with your current audience, as they might perform well with other audiences. So this is somewhat conflicting with the first bullet point, but only slightly. It's still generally not a good idea to switch niches on Instagram. So if you want to beat the algorithm and perform really well on Instagram, it has nothing to do with your algorithm knowledge. It has everything to do with your ability to create engaging content, your ability to get a targeted fan base, and your ability to maximize your engagement on your posts. And fortunately, that's the focus of the next 2 chapters of this course. So here's a quick detour. CoffeeZilla, a fantastic YouTuber, interviewed Mr. Beast recently. And Mr. Beast said, replace algorithm with audience. And I thought that was good advice. Watch that video after this one. It's a pretty good video. And I guess the main takeaway from it was, instead of saying, oh, I'm getting screwed by the algorithm, in theory, you should be saying, I'm getting screwed over by my audience. And on Instagram, I think that's 99% true. And the 1% exception being if you're trying to explore different types of content that is proven to be successful in other niches, but your current audience isn't liking it. Then it's not the audience's fault, but it is the algorithm's fault. Again, that's a pretty rare example, but it does happen. So yeah, assuming you have real followers, a real audience, and you're posting consistent content within your niche, then it's not the algorithm that isn't enjoying your posts. It's your audience, because Instagram will only promote your content on the Explorer if your audience overwhelmingly likes it. And they'll only show the posts if people spend time with it. If people see it and instantly scroll, that's not a good sign. If you think the solution is, oh, well, I'll just make the caption super long so people read it and spend time with it, and then Instagram will promote my content. Please don't do that, because I'm almost positive Instagram will know when people bail out of the caption early, and that becomes a negative signal. So your actual post has to be worthy of a long caption, and then your audience has to enjoy the long caption. Additional metrics like comments, likes, DMs, saves, they're all important too. Don't get me wrong. I think they're all natural byproducts of content that encourages you to spend time with it. And I think that's what Instagram wants. If people spend time with your posts, click on your account, watch your story, that's the good stuff. You're onto something. Instagram is going to love you. Even if they don't comment, like, DM, or save your post, if they routinely check your account out, that's all that matters. It's a positive signal, and Instagram will likely recommend your account to more and more people who do like and comment on your posts. So that pretty much summarizes how the algorithm works. I'll kind of continue this into the content section a little bit, but this should give you a better overview of how the algorithm works. It's best not to overcomplicate it. Instagram will try to overcomplicate it, but it really just boils down to authentic engagement and keeping people's interests. That's what's going to drive your account forward and help you grow. One thing to keep in mind, in 2022, Instagram is probably going to change their UI up quite a bit. I think they'll probably get rid of the Explore feed as we know it, possibly, and just integrate that onto your home feed. They're adding a chronological order, but that won't be the default feature on your home tab. I don't really see this changing any of the core concepts that we're talking about. But if it does, I'm going to edit this Notion document accordingly. And one more thing, engagement equals reach. I sometimes use these words interchangeably, but that's really what it boils down to. If you don't get engagement, you won't get reach, and vice versa. Types of content. So before we begin, let's make a quick detour and talk about content creation in general. This is a big point I want to make. So let's go on YouTube, because there are 2 content creators who took 2021 by storm. Dank Pods and Wendigoon. Wendigoon creates fun iceberg videos, deep analysis videos, conspiracy theory videos, long explanation videos. It's just a dude in his room with a microphone, and he talks for hours. He's incredibly talented, and somehow he's probably one of the most interesting creators on YouTube for his ability to pull those kind of views for that kind of video. The second person is DankPods, an Australian who yells at old iPods, plays the drums, has a snake, and crushes old MP3 players with a rock. I love him. Two content creators who kill it doing their own thing. They have a crazy loyal audience, and they are insanely successful in a niche that by all metrics shouldn't work. But it does because they're crazy talented. In 1 year, they've both gained like 1 million subscribers on YouTube each. I wanted to shout them out because they make great content. Go support them on Patreon. They post great stuff on there too if you're interested. None of these creators, though, have an impressive Instagram because in all fairness, their content isn't super native to Instagram. They also don't need an Instagram. They do perfectly fine without it, but they can't just put their unique and creative YouTube content on Instagram and make it as interesting without making massive changes to their format. And that brings us to content nativity. Content nativity means that you are creating content that is meant for a specific platform. It's native Instagram content. Your Instagram content goes exclusively on Instagram. Your Facebook content goes exclusively on Facebook. YouTube content goes on YouTube, etc. With the exception of Reels and TikToks and YouTube Short, which is the same thing, do not repurpose your content. DankPods and Wendigoon don't need an Instagram, nor do either of them try to post their content on Instagram because they are very well aware it's meant for YouTube. It's not meant for Instagram. So the biggest issue I see specifically with brands is content nativity. They think, hey, if it's good enough for our website, it's good enough for Instagram. No, God, please no. Play the Michael Scott meme. This is where inspiration accounts come into play. A good inspiration account will have the native content, and you should see that they're building content specifically for Instagram. Lazy brand accounts and people who just don't know how to use Instagram will just slap product photos and stock images on their account and call it a day. Please don't do this. Native content is your gateway to engaging content. If your content isn't native, it definitely won't be engaging. I emphasize this because it's important. Make sure your content is native on Instagram first and foremost. The most basic example I can find to illustrate this point would be go to Fashion Nova Men and then click on any product item. So here we have Patch It Up Jeans Acid version, right? Now, so many brands will just post this image and be like, yep, that looks good. They'll post it to the feed, and in the caption, they'll be like, we have this style back in stock. Check it out. And then that's it. This works if you don't intend on organically growing and you just want to pour all your money into ads. Then it's probably a decent strategy. But overall, not good. Your engagement and your reach will get slaughtered. Nobody wants to see promotions on their feed, especially if they're not native at all. If you do routinely and heavily promote on your feed, your engagement will suffer. And if you go to the Fashion Nova Men's homepage and then scroll all the way down, you'll see Shop the Gram. You'll see content that's native to Instagram and much more appropriate. It's not just stock images or product images. You're starting to see companies like Fashion Nova do reels and videos more and more. If you look up some fashion influencers, they'll often do sponsored videos like this where they'll be like, here's what I wear in a day. And then they'll be like, these black shoes I got from this place. And then this shirt I got from Fashion Nova. Use the coupon SHIRT50 for 50% off or something along those lines. People are going to continue to find more native ways to incorporate their content natively because it's the best way to promote and not destroy your reach. If you can include it into your content and it seems organic, that's going to be your best option. So now that we got that basic nailed down, now we can get into the specific types of content that you can post on Instagram. So let's start with stories. Don't overdo it because you want to retain people through all the stories you post. If they skip over it, it's a negative signal to Instagram. So keep it short. Generally, use less than 10 stories on any given day. That's my rule of thumb. You want to do things that drive engagement. So if people are skipping over your stories because you talk about things that nobody's interested in, it's not great. Some people like using stories to announce their new feed post in order to drive engagement to the feed post. You see, I may be the outlier, but when people do this who I know personally, that's a strike against them as a human being. It comes off as super needy. Again, like you can do it if you want, but I think it's better to use stories to create, stories about yourself or your brand. I think stories and story highlights are best used when they give context to what you're about or to give insights on behind the scenes of whatever your operation is. You know how websites have about us pages, our history pages, contact us pages? I think that general direction is usually a smart move for brands when it comes to building their story highlights. I think you would want to build highlights that can best summarize you. For personal accounts, I think it can be different aspects of your life. Like I said, I think stories are used best when they give context and give more insights about who you are. A lot of people use stories for selling, whatever the case may be, whether that's something along the lines of like, DM me for a consultation. Here's my client results. Do you want to be next? I scaled this business 20 times in a month. DM me to find out how, and so on. I think some niches, that's fine. My issue with this is people abuse this frequently. And I think their value to sell ratio, like how much value they provide compared to how much they try to sell to you, I think it kind of becomes out of whack when they use their stories that heavily to promote their stuff. So again, prioritize giving insights and context to your stories and then make the selling and promotional aspect last. Stories are probably one of the best ways to increase the reach with your current followers. If you can create compelling stories, Instagram will place you higher up on the stories feed of the other followers that might not interact with you as often. Anything that can drive engagement, like polls, quizzes, questions, DM me prompts, or whatever, that's all a good signal for Instagram. You don't just want people to watch all your stories. You want people to interact with your stories. You want people to spend time with your stories. Carousels. So carousels give you multiple chances for engagement on your feed. If they didn't interact with you the first time they saw it, they'll get another chance to see a different slide, usually the second slide, later on their feed. Obviously, you can't just post the same photo multiple times. So a little tip I like doing, I like having radically different first and second slides. So if they don't commit to the first slide, then maybe they'll commit to the second slide. A lot of people like creating infographics with carousels. There's a lot of cool examples out there that can actually drive pretty good engagement, especially if you're in a niche that's heavy on education. The Instagram marketing niche is full of these, and we'll get into that later. You can also sneak in a lot of call to actions in carousels, especially if you do the whole infographic angle. You get your chance to tell a mini story, which is nice. And at the end, you can say, save this post, comment your thoughts, something along those lines. A lot of people really enjoy using that last slide as the call to action. You can also tag yourself in the last slide, which is just another way to get people to go to your profile. That's usually a good thing. Similar to stories, if people don't scroll all the way through your carousel, it's a negative signal. You want people to engage with all the slides of your carousel. Reels. Like mentioned earlier, Instagram's algorithm is slightly different with Reels. There is some batching involved, which means that Instagram tests your content a bit more with different groups of people in order to determine how it should get shared. If people are receptive to your content, more and more people will see it. It's a very similar algorithm to TikTok. But for Reels, use TikTok when it comes to research. Reels are a good 2 weeks behind or more when it comes to TikTok trends. Like, do you know the whole Joe Byron Bing Bong meme that's been like dead for a month on TikTok? That's just making its waves on Instagram Reels right now. Like, people are just now discovering that on Instagram Reels. Anyways, I don't usually recommend using third-party sources or websites for inspiration when it comes to TikTok trends or figuring out what to do for a video. But if you prefer this, there are resources and people out there that specifically are trying to help people understand trends. I typically recommend just watch TikTok and find out how to put your spin on something that's trending so you can make it work for your very specific niche. Whenever I decide to pick up TikTok again and post for the third time, I have like 50 video ideas that aren't trend dependent. For example, I'll watch a unique video that's not using a trending sound or a filter, and that unique video will make me think of some kind of silly spin-off that I could do. Something like where I like the premise, but the punchline, I could adapt it to my niche. So I write that down, and then whenever I want to post again, I have this list. Something to consider though, Instagram has specific filters that they push hard because they want more and more people to use them and create reels. So Instagram is definitely favoring you if you use their shitty filters. They're not that good. But Instagram will promote your stuff more heavily if you use it. For reels, you should use hashtags in your caption like you would use on TikTok. I would say at a maximum, you should use 5 hashtags. When it comes to sharing it on your feed or keeping it in your reels tab, I think it depends on your aesthetic and how much of the reels are a driving factor for your account's growth. If reels are the majority of your content, then throw them on the feed. But if it's a small percentage or you're just testing it out, then leave them in the reels section. General guidelines you'd use on a TikTok also apply to reels. For example, you don't want things too zoomed in. You don't want things distant, and you want to keep the text in the square frame so they don't get cut off when you see them on your feed. Because you might not always see it on the Reels tab. Another thing I'd recommend for Reels specifically is consider, but you don't have to, but consider using some kind of closed caption or subtitles. Now, I only recommend this because I don't know about you, but I usually start off on Instagram looking at feed posts and my volume is off, or I'm just not paying attention. If a reel shows up on my feed, I'd want to see the caption so I would know whether or not if I should continue watching the reel or if I should just keep scrolling. TikTok doesn't have this issue because everyone on TikTok is going to be using sound. They're going to be seeing the reels full screen. That's not always going to be the case on Instagram. A general rule of thumb for reels is you want to hook someone within the first 3 to 4 seconds. You have a minimal amount of time to grab someone's attention. And if it's not something super interesting within the first 3 or 4 seconds, it's not usually going to be a good video. Now, obviously there are exceptions, but again, general rule of thumb. I've seen people say things like 75% of your reels should be educational or informational or myth busting, and 25% should be trends. I think that's horrible advice. Many accounts would struggle if they had to create informational content, and many accounts would struggle if they had to follow trends. And some accounts don't fit into that category at all, like sketch comedy accounts, for example. I think the best way to build a brand or a personal account that has the strongest following is if you don't follow trends. This might be kind of a hot take, but if you can create the same hype without the trend, that's way more ideal because it's bound to be way more memorable than if you did the trend. Because if everybody's doing the trend, what makes you stand out? Creating original content will create a much more passionate fan base. I mean, a very silly example is my TikTok account has like 40,000 likes, but my content is also original. I have like 1,000 followers just from those 2 TikToks that I uploaded. I did nothing to promote the content. I just created a TikTok and uploaded the content. And there are plenty of people who have hundreds of thousands of likes, but only have a few hundred followers. Because if you're basically just doing what everyone else is doing, there's no real incentive to follow you. I think the best creators with the best fans on TikTok and IG Reels are doing the original stuff. And even though you have celebrities like Addison Rae, Bella Poarch, who are popular for mostly doing trends, and to be fair, if you're the person to popularize trends and be the pioneers of trends and you're extremely attractive, then you'll obviously find success. I'm not against doing trends or using popular sounds or popular filters because you can get good results from that. And I think some accounts will do well posting educational content, and some accounts will do well posting silly content. I think it just completely depends on your niche. So this is why inspiration accounts are important. You should be seeing what's working within your niche because every niche is going to have a different content style. My biggest pet peeve is whenever I see marketers suggest that there's a formula that you should follow when it comes to content creation, regardless of your niche. No, absolutely not. It's all very subjective. However, following trends is also going to be significantly easier than creating original content. If you find a trend and then use it to incorporate it with your niche, that's probably going to take a lot less effort and be more of a proven winning factor than original content. But all things being equal, I am partial to original content that fits your style more so than just doing what everyone else is doing with the same kind of trend. But yeah, it's important to hook your audience's attention within the first 3-4 seconds of a reel. Generally speaking, it's probably a good idea to be less than 30 seconds long. You can obviously go longer if it's required, but you have to remember that the attention span is short, and also a lot of your competition, like a lot of the reels other people are seeing, is also going to be less than 30 seconds long. It's going to be short. Instagram Live. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care for Instagram Live or live streams that much. There used to be utility in it, and there used to be really good engagement tricks that you could do with it. But here's what I'm saying. As a general rule of thumb, no account rarely, if ever, needs to go live unless that's a feature of what you do. Considering my history with working with brands and influencers and celebrities in my own accounts, I never really needed to tell anyone to go live, or that was something that they should ever do. They'd all still go live, but the idea is going live is the same as any other piece of content. If people spend time with you and engage with you, then Instagram will favor you. If people hop in, hop out, then Instagram really won't. So if you think you can captivate people's attention and create interesting live streams, go for it. If you think you'd struggle on Instagram Live, then let me give you some confirmation bias and tell you that you don't need to go live. And now here's just some of my general rule of thumb advice on content. We might have gone over this already, but also assume that nobody cares about your brand. Yes, of course, you want your brand to have a personality, but that doesn't mean you should just tank your engagement by dedicating all your content to why your brand is awesome. Create value with your brand and create engaging content first and foremost. Always experiment with content and then focus on whatever works. If you notice a certain type of story gets a ton of views, or certain carousels get a ton of likes, or certain reels get a ton of views, try and duplicate those results with similar content. You got to feed the beast. If it produces high engagement rate and more followers, it should go without saying, keep doing it. And also, to follow up what I talked about earlier with the brand stuff, if you have a brand on Instagram, that means you have to create content that gets engagement within your niche, regardless of your brand. So if you have a cosmetic brand, create informative posts about cosmetics that provide value to people who might not have an interest in using your brand, or create posts about good skincare routines and encourage your product in a list with other well-known products. Do things to ease people into your brand. Quick side note, one of my favorite artists of all time, a painter, we got in touch and she was curious about growing her Instagram account. She's not a social media person, but she's a legitimate established artist. She asked me if I could run her account for her, create her content, do her growth, all of that. I told her no because I couldn't create the content remotely for her. She needed to find someone to film the process. And I told her that she should go to a local university and see if she can get like an art student to intern for her and help her to create the content for TikTok and Instagram. I recommend this to so many people, especially if you're well known, you have money, and you're not really social media savvy. Find someone who is. Let them create the content for you. Find an intern, find a college kid, find an employee, find a high schooler. These Gen Z kids know TikTok trends better than 99% of people. They'll know how to create better content. Instead of mowing lawns and opening lemonade stands, a lot of these kids are going to be TikTok consultants. So if you're out of the loop and you really don't know how to create good reels, you don't know how to create good TikToks, find someone who will. Posting consistently. Okay, so daily content is kind of ideal. I think this can be done easily with stories. It's relatively low pressure, but you'll want to make sure that you're creating some kind of content that adds value to the overall goal of the account. Don't spam posts for daily posts. And consistency is key. Posting 3 to 4 times a week on a grid is usually a good idea for most people. I'm not saying just rush out content and just do whatever you can to post daily. That's not what I mean. You should always post as frequently as you can post engaging content, whether that be on your stories, whether that be on your reels, whether that be on your feed posts. It doesn't matter. You're going to want to create engaging content as often as you can. Does having a nice grid mean anything? Not really. I don't really want to focus on it that much. Having a nice grid is like having a nice website. but you also have to consider Amazon and Google are like the two biggest sites in the world. Their design isn't considered like ultra aesthetic, but it's extremely effective at getting the type of content that you want. So it's much more important to deliver quality, various types of content over having like an aesthetic feed. If you can do both, great. But if you can only do one, worry about the content and not necessarily like your feed aesthetics. And just kind of a side note, a lot of people who have aesthetic feeds, they kind of put their content and their engagement as an afterthought, because if your overall picture is how good your feed looks, then you're not necessarily caring about whether or not these individual posts get engagement, because you're going to be sacrificing the quality of those individual posts just so that they could fit the aesthetic of your feed. I think it's much more significant to worry about the engagement of your posts over the aesthetic of how your posts look. You can make your content aesthetic in a feed and also have it look good individually. Take Justin Campster, for example, who's another friend of mine. His feed looks great when you scroll through it, and it looks great when you click on something. You don't ever want to get into the business of designing your feed to where it looks great when you scroll and not so great when you see individual pictures, because that will ruin your engagement. It's important to use call to actions in your posts, not all the time, because I think that's kind of lame, but regularly rotate them in if it's fitting for your niche. I hate that this feels like non-advice, because I'm basically just saying, just do whatever works, but there's a level of testing here that's actually necessary. Sometimes personal accounts, for example, do better without any kind of call to action, but brand accounts thrive on call to action. So there's different levels. Also experiment with caption lengths. Like we mentioned earlier, some people can get really good engagement by writing long, drawn out, explanatory captions, forcing users to read, giving them a positive signal to Instagram, and suggesting that the content is interesting. But some people don't have much to say, or you can see the weakness of their content the longer their caption goes. For example, if you're just some dude at a coffee shop, you might get a better response by just saying, "I'm enjoying this coffee," rather than writing your entire screenplay in your caption. Getting coffee isn't that deep. Also, by the way, if you write long captions, throw your username at the bottom to encourage people to check out your account if they find you on the Explore, or you can have some kind of call to action like "view my story for more" in your caption, or something along those lines. Anything to encourage clicks and more time spent on your account. If they're reading your long caption, you might as well get them to commit to more time at that point. Anyways, here are some example call to actions that you can creatively sprinkle in wherever you see fit. Check out the link in my bio, DM me, swipe through the carousel, watch this, like if you ... So for example, like if you like getting coffee, I don't know. Share this post with someone, read this. If the caption is long, you can like put exclamation points and be like, "read this." Save this. I've never saved a post on Instagram, by the way. I don't like that feature. Save this, or comment if ... or just comment below. Another good idea is to put call to actions in your bio to support your story. For example, having something like "watch my stories for behind the scene footage," or "watch my stories for daily exercise routines," or "check out my stories for outfits of the day." You can also include a mention to your stories in your captions for your feed posts. People who see your feed posts might not see your stories. If you drive people to both, that'll definitely improve your reach. Hashtags. Okay, so we need to briefly talk about hashtags. I go into the group of people that think hashtags aren't super useful. They're like a 5.5 out of 10 when it comes to usefulness. But here's my general thoughts on hashtags. For feed posts, 5 to 15. A solid mixture of small, medium, and large hashtags that define your post. If you want to do some more research on this method, it's called hashtag laddering, and there's plenty of articles about it. For Reels, I think less than 5, and I would generally use large to medium hashtags for Reels. I wouldn't really mess with small hashtags. Put them in your caption. Don't overcomplicate it. Reels with a lot of hashtags look messy and desperate. There's a lot of hashtag generators out there, but generally speaking, I found this one to be the best, and it's free, so that's great. BigBangRam.com /Instagram promotion /hashtags/hashtag generator. It gives you hard, medium, or easy to rank hashtags. So it's perfect for having a good list of hashtags to use. Also, another general rule of thumb, look at what your peer accounts and inspiration accounts are using for hashtags. Copy them, put them in a huge notepad, and then rotate through them, applying them to specific posts. I don't like hashtag spam, so keep hashtags you use specific to that post. Don't use a hashtag that you wouldn't use to describe the post, as I think that probably counts against you to some extent. I don't think you need to use hashtags in every post if you don't want. Again, look at celebrities and look at people who are in the 1%. If you go on the Explore page, how many people do you see using hashtags? Not many, at least on my Explore page. So that's all stuff to consider. Hashtags are cool. Yes, they can get you more traffic. Yes, they can get you more reach. It's not going to be a lot. Like I said, 5.5 out of 10. They're not nearly as effective as they used to be, but they still serve some function for extra reach. How often should you post? We kind of mentioned this already. I think daily stories, max 7 to 10. I wouldn't post much more than 10. And then as far as your content, when it comes to reels and media posts, I think you should post as often as you can, depending on how quickly you can create engaging content. So reels are typically pretty engaging pieces of content. You might be able to post reels daily. When it comes to feed posts, it depends a lot on your niche and what the standard is. For example, if you're a hairstylist, you may only want to post feed posts whenever you do a hairstyle that's really unique. And depending on your workload, that might only be every 2 to 3 days. I don't want to tell you to post every day if you don't have content to post. So it may be a good idea to schedule posts out a few days. Not everything needs to be posted the day it happens. My team uses Notion. There's a free plan and you can customize your scheduling as much as you want. It's a really good tool. I would check it out. So here's a pretty hot take. I don't think what time you post matters that much when it comes to the algorithm's ranking. It does, but it doesn't. The idea that you need a certain amount of engagement immediately after you post in order to get ranked highly initially is a pretty narrow way of looking at the overall algorithm. Instagram cares more about how people respond to your content opposed to when people respond to your content. And if you want proof of this, go to your Explore page. Do you see content posted less than 2 hours ago? Probably not. Most of the content on the Explore page is like 2 days old on average. The time doesn't matter. It's about the quality. However, I do think the initial reactions of the content can help when it comes to social proof purposes. And there's probably some domino effect that makes it seem like the algorithm favors the content. So for example, if you get 1,000 likes in 10 minutes opposed to 100 likes in 10 minutes, some people might be more likely to engage with 1,000 likes just because there's so many likes on the content. Like people might be more encouraged to engage with the content if others are engaging with it. I think that's probably valid, but there's really nothing in the algorithm that suggests that you're going to be punished if you're not posting at the time when most of your followers are online. So as far as when to post, it's not the biggest deal. Don't post at like 3 a.m. Post generally when you think people will see it. You can go to your insights and see exactly when your followers are online, but generally speaking, it's not that big of a deal. So now we have types of Instagram growth. So as we've already covered, the best way to grow on Instagram is be in the 1% of content creators within your niche. Use Reels a ton. Gain followers on TikTok and use it to push to an active audience on Instagram. If you wanted to gain 100K followers and you were an excellent content creator, that's the strategy. Post daily on TikTok and double dip that content on Reels and TikTok and YouTube Shorts, and technically triple dip, and push all that traffic to Instagram. This is typically the best way to go about it if you can create content effectively. Side note, you don't need to follow trends or do TikTok dances. As long as your content is enjoyable and high quality, you can find an audience and grow. I have 2 creators in mind that I love that don't follow trends and use TikToks to promote their Instagram and vice versa. PDUSA, which he has my favorite TikTok of all time. There's a bear in a swimming pool. Watch it. It's hilarious. And then Soupy Time, which is another really good TikTok creator. 1 million followers on TikTok generally equals about 100K followers on Instagram, roughly. It always depends, but that's a very good benchmark to go off of. And to give you a reference on how realistic it can be to grow and get views on TikTok, I might have already mentioned this already, but I gained 1K followers off of 2 videos. And those are the only 2 videos I've posted, and they average like 90K views and 15K likes. If I had the willpower or desire to post daily or more than once every 5 months or whatever, I could probably build a pretty good following. And if I could build a following, you probably could build a following too. However, let's talk about the ways you can grow specifically on the Instagram app. I hate that I'm referencing TikTok so much. I really do. But TikTok is doing a lot of things well. Even if it is a Chinese spyware dancing app, it's a pretty good one. So, organic content only growth on Instagram, we've practically covered that. That's hashtag growth, people sharing your content, people finding you on the Explore, that kind of stuff. Now let's talk about the ways to maximize your organic growth besides posting content. I like to break this down into two different types of growth: interaction growth and external growth. So let's talk about interaction growth first. Interaction growth is exactly what it sounds like. You are interacting with others on Instagram in order to grow. I think there are three main ways to go about this. And I personally think a mix of all three is an ideal strategy for 99% of people. And we'll talk about that in the next chapter, but here are those three strategies. For the sake of naming things, we have the $80 strategy, aka what I just call an engagement strategy. Then you have the follow-unfollow strategy. And then you have collab partnerships and cross promotions. So the $80 strategy was coined by Gary Vee, and basically it's where you drop your 2 cents or you leave a comment on 90 posts a day within your niche. 90 posts times 2 cents equals $1.80. Like I said, I just like to call this an engagement strategy. I think the best way to summarize this strategy today, since leaving 90 comments may or may not be possible based on Instagram's action limits, is being as aggressive as possible when it comes to engaging with quality posts from your peer and inspiration accounts. Helpful comments, likes, DMing them, being super engaging and friendly is a good strategy. And let me be clear, on the surface level, when you do this and you drop 90 thoughtful comments a day on accounts within your niche, you are helping them grow. Again, on the surface level, you leaving comments and being friendly is a good signal to the algorithm, and it's a good signal to others that they should engage with the account that you're commenting on and encouraging. The more social proof an account has, the more likely people will engage with it. However, if you dig deeper, in a very cliche way, the positive energy you send out in the universe will be returned to you. People will be more likely to follow you. People will see your comment, click on your profile, and possibly decide to follow you. You can get a ton of exposure by simply leaving comments and engaging with other accounts within your niche. But you will also very likely get a good percentage of those comments sent back to you. Your existing followers will see this. They'll be more likely to engage with you and check you out. New people who just discover your account will see this and they'll be more likely to engage with you. This just goes on and on and on and on. And it's a domino effect that helps you grow. In summary of the $80 strategy, or just the engagement strategy, being super helpful and being encouraging to others and spreading value can really help you grow. If you're a gardener and you are dropping knowledge bombs and you're applying to 1 million follower inspiration accounts commenters and helping them with their gardening in a massive accounts comment section, it's a great look for you. A lot of those 1 million follower accounts, they don't respond to the comments and the questions in their comment section. You can establish yourself as an authority in the niche, and you can also build great relationships with inspiration and peer accounts. Assuming, of course, you're not hijacking every post you see with an excessive amount of comments. So we'll circle back to this in the next chapter, but that's what I mean when I talk about having some kind of engagement strategy. Also, one more thing about an engagement strategy. Likes alone, so with no comments, just a like, likes alone are meaningless when it comes to growth. If you think you can like 200 posts a day within your niche and gain followers, you probably won't gain a single one. You might gain a bot follower or two, but it's just not as effective if you just like. You need to add value with a comment. Also, engagement groups or engagement pods would technically fit into this category. And this is basically when you have a planned engagement strategy with other accounts. For example, when you post a photo, you tell other people in your group or your pod or your DM chat that you just posted, and then they would go ahead and engage with you. When they post, you would do the same to their post. In theory, this does work, but there's better ways to do it. The goal should be you don't need to orchestrate your account's engagement and make sure that the right people are online when you post. Ideally, though, if you do this, you'd want accounts to be within your niche. Some people think that the accounts don't have to be in your niche for the strategy to boost your reach, but the accounts definitely need to be in your niche for them to have some kind of substantial positive effect. I don't think you need to worry about joining an engagement group necessarily, but having friends within your niche is always a good thing. I'll expand on this a little bit more. So let's talk about the follow-unfollow strategy. Obviously, this is a strategy where you follow people, wait for a follow back, and then you can decide if you want to unfollow them or not, and then repeat the process. Some people think that this is a pretty controversial strategy, and then they never go into any detail on why. They just say it's bad, or it's not a good strategy, or it's outdated, and then they move on. And also, let me be clear, I might have some bias. My company does this service for people, but I've also seen this strategy work wonders. I've grown plenty of accounts using this strategy, and I've helped other people grow their account with this strategy. And my company has helped thousands of people grow using this strategy. So that's my bias, but I completely understand the criticism. And I think the three biggest criticisms this strategy get are: one, I don't want to follow random people and see them on my feed. Two, I don't want the strategy to ruin my growth and engagement. Three, I already have a lot of followers. I don't want to follow more people. That will make my ratio look bad. So let me address those one by one. First off, the goal of the strategy is not to follow random people. The goal of the strategy is to follow people who will be likely to be interested in your account. Most people go wrong with this strategy by following random accounts or going to hashtags within their niche and just spam following anyone that uses those hashtags. That's not a good idea. And I also believe that's technically frowned upon by Instagram according to their terms of service. They don't want you to build inauthentic relationships. So, in order to build authentic relationships and not follow random people, the biggest thing that's required is a good targeting method to find interested accounts and hopefully providing value to the account that you're following. So, let me give you an example on how to use follow unfollow effectively and actually build authentic relationships on Instagram. I actually use this example in my entrepreneur.com article, 3 Simple Things Businesses Need for Instagram Growth. And by the way, it's another fitness example, so you've been warned. But oftentimes I get personal trainers and fitness coaches that want to gain followers, but more importantly, they want new clients. And I ask them, okay, what have you done so far? And then they tell me, well, I tried following a bunch of accounts and that didn't work. I tried buying shoutouts and that didn't work. And then I ask them, okay, what kind of accounts did you follow? And they tell me that they go to the other fitness trainers and unfollow the people that comment on the other fitness trainers' posts. Oftentimes they say that they can sometimes get followers, but they rarely get new clients for their business. And by the way, the people I'm talking to are often people posting decent content. They're posting educational content. They're being helpful. So they just don't understand why they're not selling their personal training packages. What I end up recommending them, and what ends up being a huge driving factor for their business, is I say, okay, instead of following and unfollowing people who already have a fitness coach or a personal trainer, go to your local gym's Instagram and unfollow people who are engaging with your local gym. So most gyms like 24-Hour Fitness, Planet Fitness, Lifetime Fitness, etc., all these gyms usually have local Instagram pages for every branch that they have, where they post holiday hours, gym events, staff highlights, new gym equipment, and so on. So I tell them, if you're based in Miami, find the 10 nearest gyms to you that have an Instagram account and network with all of those people who engage with those accounts or follow those accounts. Follow them, DM them, like their stuff, comment, answer the questions you get. You have to think of it like you're extending a business card or, like your mobile homepage, aka your Instagram account, to the people who are checking into the local gym every day. And you're basically telling them, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm based here in Miami, and I'm a fitness trainer taking new clients. I have a 50% discount right now. You will get so many more clients that way. You may not get as many followers as some other targets that you may use, but you will get so many more clients that way. So that's just one example on how to use follow unfollow in an effective way. And it also highlights how important it is to have a targeted audience. You are providing people with a service. They're happy to receive it. You build a genuine connection with that person. Everybody's happy. And when it comes to unfollowing, think of it as when you hand out your business card, some people say, no thanks, and then they keep on walking. That happens. I wouldn't recommend unfollowing people who engage with you, who DM you, or any of that stuff. You want to keep people engaged on your account as much as possible. And theoretically, you should only unfollow people who deny the business card. So yes, follow unfollow works. It's not going to get you 5,000 followers per month, but it can get you 500 followers per month. And you can use that feedback that you get from those people who follow you to improve your content, to create better content, and learn how to connect with people. You should be able to use follow unfollow to catapult you into more eyeballs organically. You should be able to figure out how to improve your content. You should be able to get better engagement with this strategy. And that's all a domino effect that can help you eventually not to rely on this strategy. Again, I'm not for spam. I don't think you should spam follow and then spam unfollow people. I think you should always strive to build connections on Instagram. but it is a process. So hopefully that explains the first critique of this strategy, and it should also explain the second critique too. If done correctly, you will build relationships and get targeted followers. So it won't necessarily damage your account in terms of the algorithm. If that was the case, I know several million follower accounts right now that used follow and follow to get their first 20K followers on Instagram. So no, I don't think it hurts your ability to rank and explore if done correctly. I think it helps increase your reach if done correctly. It's going to hurt your reach if you don't do it correctly, but it definitely will help you if you do it correctly. And considering the third critique, I think that's fair. I don't think it's the best look for large accounts to be following and unfollowing people, but they do tend to be the most successful at it for various reasons. Obviously, if you're spending up to 5 hours a day following and unfollowing people, if you have 100K followers, something else is wrong. You'd be much better off creating content or using a better interaction strategy. Also, accounts that are in a really broad niche probably won't benefit from follow and follow strategy a ton. The more broad of a niche that you have, the more your content needs to be spot on. For example, if you were an author and you wanted to write a book called How to Be Happy, and you wanted to market that book to anyone and everyone on Instagram, that's going to be really tough to do with the follow and follow strategy because it's going to be so hard to find people who specifically you should be targeting. But if you were an author and you wrote a book called How to Throw Your German Shepherd a Birthday Party that they might actually enjoy, then you'll probably be able to target people like me pretty easily by targeting active niche pages of German Shepherds. So yeah, that's my opinion on follow and follow. I think it's super effective if done correctly. It's important to know where to source your potential targets though. Like with the example I used, local gyms are often going to provide better results than following and unfollowing peer accounts. But for other niches, you might find a case where peer accounts are better than almost any other kind of target. For example, if you own a craft brewery, you might be better off using another local brewery. But like if you have a hair salon, maybe you find a lot of success following and unfollowing the people who comment on the boutique fashion store down the block. Some things go hand in hand like that. If they already support the store, maybe they'll support your hair salon. But if they support another hair salon, then they might not support your hair salon. The best thing to do is test, and test. Test different accounts to use as a target account and then see which one works better over time. If you want to know a general guideline to follow when it comes to daily limits and all of the action blocks and all of the intricate details that Instagram has, I included a link here on the Notion document that further explains the process because Instagram's algorithm can be pretty tricky to say the least. And I'm just going to leave that link there. I'm not going to go in depth with it right now. And if you are interested in doing a follow and follow strategy, you can check out what the current limits are. Again, I should emphasize, do not use spam, follow, and unfollow. Do not abuse this strategy. You need to be extremely targeted when you're doing this for the sake of not having inauthentic activity on Instagram. Do not use automation with this information. Do not break Instagram's terms of service in any way with this information. I'm on team Instagram. Please don't sue me, Instagram. I'm on your team. I want people to build authentic relationships on Instagram. I don't want people to use spam to try to gain followers. So that hopefully summarizes follow and follow. We'll talk about it briefly again in the next chapter because it can play a role. It can play a role on how everything should come together for most people. Also, pro tip, by the way, if you find a good source for accounts to follow, turn on post notifications for that target account. So whenever they post, you can go to their likes and comments and find super active and recent users who are online who will be most likely to respond quickly, either positively or negatively, to your follow notification. Just a little tip. Also, one more thing. I heavily popularized a strategy in my ebook back when Instagram was a bit more lenient when it came to action limits, and I called it the 1-2 punch strategy. And basically, that's when you would follow an account and then like a recent picture of theirs and then like a random picture of them, not so recent. This was supposed to simulate that you were really interested in the account and you were taking your time to follow them. Back in the day, this was a dramatic difference in getting followers compared to just following someone without liking their content. You would get 50% better results by doing something like this. Now, with Instagram's current action limits, if you wanted to do this and follow 200 people a day, it would take you 8 hours of manual labor to do this for one day, just because Instagram has really cracked down. Because you used to be able to follow 800 accounts a day and 1,600 photos, no problem. Unfortunately, Instagram has cracked down, so that's not very realistic anymore. So yeah, You can't 1-2 punch anymore, but because of Instagram and how they've really killed mass follow strategies, I've noticed that the percentages are pretty similar now without the 1-2 punch than back in the day with the 1-2 punch. I think that's just because Instagram cracked down and made follow strategies more rare and less frequent. So when people receive a follow notification today, it means more than it did 5 years ago. So I think people are more likely to follow back today opposed to when they, 5 years ago. Again, I'm on Team Instagram. Don't break their terms. I'm not suggesting anybody do anything. This is purely educational. I'm serious about that. Don't blindly follow my advice. Please consult with other resources and consult with Instagram's terms of service before doing anything. I apologize for this method going so long, but there's a lot of misinformation about this strategy, and I just wanted to clear the air about all of that. The strategy works when done correctly, and I think a lot of people will benefit from it if they know who to target, who to interact with, and if they can provide value for that person that they're following. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of marketers talk down on the follow unfollow simply because it makes them look like a better marketer. It's easier to say, focus on creating better content than telling people how to properly do an interaction method like this. But in the reality, a lot of people will benefit from these methods. So I think you should consider it. Collab partnerships and cross promotion. So collab partnerships and cross promotions could technically fit in the content section as well, but I think it probably fits better here because it's a more direct way of achieving growth and it involves interacting with others on Instagram. And contrasting to follow unfollow, this one doesn't need a ton of explaining. Basically, this is when you grow your account through collaborations with other accounts. Instagram has a feature that allows you and another account to post the same photo, and then that photo gets shared on your feed and your collaborator's feed. This is a relatively new feature by Instagram. It came out within the last few months. Before this, you would just double post and tag each other in the caption, but this is a much cleaner and more effective solution. A lot of brands will do this with their ambassadors. If you want an example of this, the company MyProtein did this recently with their ambassador, Israel Adesanya, who is a UFC fighter. They went from averaging like 2K posts per photo to this post getting like 30K likes. They also use this feature pretty heavily to promote their spin-off brands, which I think is also a pretty smart move. Since the feature is relatively new, it's a bit challenging to see what the long-term results of these collab posts are in terms of how the algorithm judges your engagement compared to your collaborators' engagement. I'd say a general rule of thumb here is to avoid doing this with accounts that get low engagement or aren't directly in your niche, as it could be problematic in the long run. I may update the Notion document specifically on this method as it continues to see more usage across Instagram. From what I've seen, it usually benefits the smaller account more than it'll ever benefit the bigger account. The bigger account will usually struggle with reach, and I think it could be seen by many people as an advertisement or a paid promotion. I think if you own a brand and you can work with influencers and celebrities, I would definitely consider using this as often as you can, assuming you get good results from it. Again, it's really new. It's not super clear how the algorithm reacts to this kind of content in the long run. So I think it'll come down to how engaging the content you create is for both of the accounts sharing the posts. If one account feeds performs better than the other account, then I think it'll end up affecting both. Carousel posts, again, are going to be your best chance at optimizing your engagement here, as you'd likely get double the exposure or technically quadruple the exposure on your home feed if they don't engage with it the first time they saw it, and also on their home feed. There's other ways to do collaborations without using the built-in collaboration feature. I mean, mutual feed shoutouts using captions or just using normal tags would technically also be included in this section, in addition to just story shoutouts and going live with someone. I think in the right time and place, those options make a lot of sense. I think those options might be a bit more organic feeling than the built-in collaboration feature, so that may play to your advantage. I say if you advertise heavily on your account, and whenever you do advertise heavily, your engagement drops significantly. My theory would be that whenever you do collaboration posts, those posts probably don't perform that well either. So maybe don't do collaboration posts. So maybe just do the normal tags or maybe the normal shout outs here and just see what happens and see if that performs better than the collaboration feature. There's another type of collaboration I see sometimes called Instagram takeovers. And that's when you allow another person to run your Instagram page for a limited time to offer a different perspective to your followers. 9 times out of 10, I absolutely hate this. I think it works 10% of the time, and that's when you only have a really well-known figure running a brand account and it becomes interesting and funny. That's about it. I don't like when influencers do it with each other's accounts. I think it's not usually worth the time and effort, unless, of course, someone with a much bigger following than you is letting you do it on their account. Then do it and you'll get some followers. But generally speaking, I would never let a smaller account do this to my account. And it just always kind of feels sloppy to me whenever I see it. So I don't think Instagram takeovers are usually ideal. So we just covered interaction growth strategies. Now let's talk about external growth strategies. This is when you have growth methods that aren't attributed to your account's participation with other accounts. You don't need to do anything specifically on your account in order to grow with these methods. But let me tell you right now, the only solid external growth strategy is bringing your followers in from other platforms, whether that be TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, MySpace. That's going to give you the best results, period. If you have followers or if you're able to easily build followers on other platforms, then promoting your Instagram on those other platforms will hands down be the best external growth strategy. Aside from that, I don't usually recommend external growth methods because it's almost never fixing the root issue. Improving your content, improving your engagement, interacting with the right people, improving your reach, improving your mobile website, aka your profile page, that's all going to be better off than external growth strategies. And I'll explain why by going through these various growth strategies. So starting off, we have Instagram ads. I'm not much of an ads guy. I run ads myself and for a few other people, but that's a whole other can of worms. I don't consider myself an ads expert, so I'm just going to refrain from giving advice on that. Generally speaking, though, most people won't use ads to promote their overall account. For example, you won't see the girl that you met at a coffee shop using ads to promote her lifestyle Instagram page. It's just generally not a good idea unless you have a highly specific funnel in place where you can sell a product or service. So as a means of selling a service, yeah, Instagram ads can be really good. But as a way to get the ball rolling on your account to gain some followers, you might be wasting your money. But again, I'm not an ads expert, so feel free to disregard that opinion. But also, I've seen hundreds of thousands of Instagram ads probably over the past 7-8 years I've been on Instagram. Less than 1% are trying to grow accounts. So they're always trying to sell something. So just keep that in mind. If you're trying to sell something, sure. But if you're trying to grow, no. That's just in my opinion, though. And like I said, I'm not an ads expert. Feel free to disregard it. So next we have shoutouts. And hot take, 95% of the time, buying shoutouts on Instagram to gain followers is not going to be worth it. I've done shoutouts that were successful, and I've done shoutouts that were unsuccessful. But when people contact me and tell me about their experience with shoutouts, maybe 1 out of every 30 people have a positive experience. Shoutouts, in case you don't know, is when you pay someone to shout out or post about your account on their Instagram feed or their story. General rule of thumb, don't ever use a website to buy shoutouts. Nearly all the accounts on those websites have artificially inflated their reach and their engagement is pretty much actually dead. If you want to sell shoutouts, sure, feel free to use those websites, but never ever buy from them. Prices are all over the place. People can fake their engagement and their reach and their story views and all that stuff. People also send you fake followers in order to make it look like the shoutout performed better than it actually did. The ideal way to buy a shoutout would be to go through an inspiration account and ask them what their rates are. But again, a lot of times it just doesn't work that well. You might be better off trying to do a collaboration with an inspiration account than trying to buy a shout out from them. There's no standard rate when it comes to shout outs, as everyone is going to price it differently based off what they think their account is worth. So you'll just have to determine if whatever price that they suggest is worth it to you or not. Next, we have giveaway growth services. Okay. In my opinion, giveaway growth services will absolutely slaughter your reach and your engagement. It is the worst way to spend money on Instagram, in my opinion. You get real followers that don't end up caring about your account, your content, or your niche at all, thus sending negative signals to Instagram that your account might not be very good. It's a complete waste of money, and it's very, 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 very rarely that you'll ever see a benefit from using a service like this. You'd be better off buying fake followers, truly. I write about this in my blog article that I mentioned in one of the first chapters, The Great Instagram Shift. But basically, these services work by placing your account in a list, and then a celebrity instructs their followers to follow all these accounts in order to win a prize. You get real followers in exchange for some one-time fee, anywhere from like $100 to $10,000. Celebrities like Cardi B, Trippie Redd, Tekashi 69, they're generally the kind of celebrities that host these giveaways. But sometimes these services will say, just an influencer or a targeted account is the one hosting these giveaways. And I can guarantee you it's going to be a random account with 100K followers, and then they'll send you fake followers to your account in order to make it look like these giveaways actually worked. It's super, super common. There's a lot of fraud in this specific genre of growth services, and none of the followers will be targeted. Just know that. None of the followers in these giveaway services will ever, ever, ever be targeted. None of these followers will ever care about your account, and a large number of followers will unfollow you after the giveaway ends. Sometimes these are called loop giveaways or influencer giveaways. Anyway, Instagram's algorithm will destroy you for using this kind of stuff. If you want followers, you might be smarter just to buy fake followers opposed to real followers who don't care about your account. Fake followers usually don't even log in or view the content very often. They just follow people. And for the most part, that might actually just be better because they're not, viewing your content and then deciding to scroll by it. They're just not even logging in. So they don't really send Instagram a positive or a negative signal about your account. They're just not active. But these giveaway followers are real people who followed you for an incentive, will likely see your content once or twice on their feed, not recognize you, and keep scrolling. Or they'll unfollow you. Either way, it's just not good. It's super harmful. It's super expensive. It might be the biggest waste of money in the growth industry right now. So instead of buying a spot on a giveaway growth service, take that money, run your own giveaway. You'd end up having much, much, much better results. By running your own giveaway, you'd encourage people to interact with your post who might not usually. Give away like $10, $20 Amazon gift cards or something like that. Say something like this post, comment why you follow me, and then tag someone who should also follow me. I'll pick 5 winners, and you and the person who you tagged will both get a $20 Amazon gift card. Or something like that. Encouraging authentic engagement, like when you tell people to comment specifically on why they followed you, that's a better signal to the algorithm than just tag someone because it takes more time. That's just one example. Perhaps customizing the giveaway prize to something within your niche would be a better idea too. If you're a hairstylist, give away a nice bottle of shampoo or something. By the way, I'm not saying this is like a great strategy that you have to try. There are issues with this kind of strategy too, but just for the example, this is so much better than buying an Instagram giveaway service that's going to send you real followers that have no interest. You'd be much better off using that money to promoting engagement on your own account. So, black hat growth and history. So let's briefly discuss black hat growth methods and why I typically don't recommend them. Feel free to skip over this part, by the way, because there's no real method here that I'll end up recommending. But I do want to mention why they're not a great idea and then go over a bit of the evolution that some of these black hat methods have gone through. Most people who use these methods are almost always trying to make a quick buck. It's very rare to see legitimate brands or influencers use these methods as a way to grow. Starting off with the most popular one, we have fake followers. Fake followers, again, honestly, probably better than giveaway followers because they won't send activity signals to Instagram. If you see anyone selling real followers and then giving you a specific quantity, like buy 500 real followers, those are fake followers. If you can ever buy followers, like a specific amount, they're fake followers. Some sellers are getting tricky now and they're selling active fake followers, which are by far more damaging than just regular fake followers. These are the fake followers that like and leave generic comments on your post automatically. Don't buy those either. For a million different reasons, the engagement isn't genuine and Instagram knows that. It'll hurt your reach because they spend 0.01 seconds on your post and then immediately on 70 different other posts in various other niches. These fake accounts don't have any real followers because they're all bots. So even if they could influence your account on the Explorer, it would only be seen by other fake accounts that wouldn't go on the Explorer anyway. Again, just a waste of money. People usually only buy this kind of stuff for social proof. There's no real utility in them besides it might make your account look more active. And even though I tease that these are better than giveaway followers, fake followers will likely damage your reach too. Oh, and by the way, despite what you might think, most celebrities do not buy fake followers. They definitely have fake followers, but they don't buy them. I've seen reports where people say like Kylie Jenner has 150 million fake followers and she's bought 150 million followers. Trust me, Kylie Jenner did not buy 150 million fake followers. Most fake follower providers almost always routinely follow top celebrities no matter what in order to make the account look real. If fake accounts followed random people that weren't celebrities to make themselves look real, they'd have a higher chance of getting reported because if someone had 100 followers and saw a fake account follow them, they might be more likely to report it. But like these celebrities, Kylie Jenner, Justin Bieber, or any of these other major celebrities, they're not going to report these fake accounts that follow them. It's also just easier from a supplier point of view to have a set list of accounts and randomly follow those top celebrities. And then those fake accounts will later go on to follow people who buy fake followers, or they'll go out and spam people one way or another. So just keep that in mind. Yes, some celebrities do buy fake followers, but it's much more rare than you think. And it's definitely not to the point where 150 million fake followers get purchased by these massive influencers. That's not happening. Fake likes don't do anything to boost your natural engagement either. These accounts like thousands of posts a day. They spend less than 0.01 seconds looking at your profile. Instagram knows instantly that these likes aren't real engagement, that these accounts don't follow you. They're not liking any specific niche. And like we stated earlier, where time spent on a post is a huge deal, Instagram knows that these likes won't influence the explore. I don't know if there's a ton of evidence that suggests that fake likes will hurt your reach or hurt your chance of going viral, but I do firmly believe that it doesn't help you. Back in the day, you could buy fake likes and easily rank in hashtags and gain followers that way. That method doesn't work anymore. And then there's automation. Typically, people use automation when there's some kind of follow-unfollow involved, but there's other kinds of black hat automation that we'll discuss. But this is obviously when you use a tool or a program to automate thousands of follows and unfollows. When a tool automates these actions for you, it's spam. You're not trying to build real connections, you're just following random accounts. Even if you have a targeted strategy, it's still considered spam by Instagram because, again, it's not an authentic follow. That being said, Instagram has been impressive when it comes to destroying automation on their platform. I think this happened in either 2017, maybe 2018, where they just pretty much destroyed automation. It's really hard to do this now. Instagram knows if you're using a proxy. They know if you're using some kind of application. They know the footprint of the account and the thousands of other accounts that are using that software. They just know. They definitely spent time to figure this out. And it had the entire black hat growth industry in shambles for the longest time because people were getting their accounts wiped out. Any company offering you a software or AI technology or any other kind of bot to gain you followers, or even if they just say they're doing follow-unfollow, but they don't explicitly say that they're doing it by hand, you should consider it as automation, and it's a big no-no if you care about the longevity of your Instagram account. Then there's the mother-child method, and sometimes this is also called the master-slave method, which might be a little bit insensitive. But this is when you hire someone that creates sub-accounts or child accounts of your mother account or your main account. Basically, for example, if you had like a clothing brand called Swag Clothing Elite, or something like that, then this service would go out and create accounts called something like Swag Clothing Elite 1, Swag Clothing Elite 2, Swag Clothing Elite Daily, Swag Apparel Elite, and so on. They would then do some kind of automation on these accounts. They would try to grow them, and then they would use the collective following to promote your main account. And they'll do that whether that be in the DMs or call to actions in their bio, call to actions in their post. They'd say something along the lines of, go follow our main account, Swag Elite Clothing, for more. And then the theory behind this is it's supposed to be the white hat growth for the main account because the main account isn't technically doing the spam. It's the smaller accounts or the child accounts that are doing the spam. Here's what I'll say about this. I think Instagram knows. And I won't be surprised if one day they just really crack down and punish these accounts at some point. This is becoming more and more common. I'm just saying it might happen that Instagram will go after the mother account at some point. Instagram has gotten more and more strict every year when it comes to this kind of stuff. So that's just my 2 cents. I also think it's kind of a bad look whenever I see personal accounts doing this or when brands do this. And also, those accounts always have horrible engagement and reach. They're always trying to avoid improving their content, and instead they're doing methods like this. It's a little skeezy. And mother child is pretty expensive. It can be upwards of like $1,000 per month if you get like 10 child accounts. So yeah, I would never do this. I've seen people do it. I know people who've done it. You can get growth doing stuff like this, but again, I think you're going to put your account at risk. And I think you'd probably be better off putting that money into your content instead. Next, we have DM spamming or mass DMs, and that's when you either hire someone specifically or you hire a service to send thousands and thousands of DMs to a targeted list of people on Instagram, whether that be, the followers of a certain account or something along those lines. Typically, you only see this when people are promoting a service or a product. You don't typically see this for growth, but you will see this just to promote whatever product or service that someone is trying to promote. You've probably had these. If you go to your message request inbox on Instagram and you don't recognize some of the usernames and they seem like spam, someone most likely paid them to send you that message. Again, something you should consider if you were to use this method for growth, you also have to consider what kind of person goes in their message requests and follows the account that is suggested to them from a random spam bot account. You got to really weigh at the end of the day and just think like, okay, maybe you're not getting the most high quality followers. That's just my 2 cents. Again, at the end of the day, I would not be surprised if Instagram starts cracking down on these accounts that are using these bot accounts to promote their account. I will not be surprised if these accounts start getting punished who are using the mass DMs. But also, a lot of people using this are just trying to make a quick buck. They're not trying to, grow their business using mass DMs. A lot of them just want to sell some service or some product to a bunch of people, and they use this method to do so. Spam comments are pretty similar. You've probably seen these too. There's various uses for this. Never a good idea to self-promote in a comment section. And it's obviously not a good idea to spam in a comment section. This might be the biggest thing Instagram is going to try to fix in regards to black hat methods because it is really getting out of hand. If you go to like any celebrity account and you look at their comments, you're bound to find questionable spam comments, we'll just say. There's a few other older methods that were pretty popular for a while, and they really don't work at all anymore. Mentions and story viewing. Mentions is when you have thousands of accounts comment on a post you've made, and each of those accounts would tag like 3 to 5 people. So on one post, you'd have 3,000 to 5,000 people getting notifications that you just posted. Low key though, this method went crazy back in the day when it worked. Simply because it was just a stupid, cheap way to get a ton of traffic. Some people use this for growth, but a lot of people just use this to sell things. You could get like 1 million people tagged in your posts for like $500. To think about that in perspective, to get like 1 million visitors to a website for $500 and to have those visitors be targeted, that's worth a lot more than $500. So you could get like 1 million people tagged in your post for like $500. All of them would get the notification too. It wouldn't go in their message request box. They would just get a notification that like, hey, you got tagged in this post. And then you'd go check out the post. And then the post would be, some kind of promotional posts targeted towards you. This is the thing, by the way, that I ended up getting some karma for because I am guilty of using this method semi-heavily back in the day, back in 2015. But Instagram already punished me for this. They already punished. I bought mentions and spammed their platform 7 years ago, and Instagram leaked my private data. So who's really at fault here? But that's what mentions are. It's just spam comments with a twist. And then we have story viewing, which was probably the dumbest one. It's also probably the most recent out of all of these. And it really only lasted a few months, but it was some weird exploit on Instagram that allowed you to view like 1 million stories a day using certain types of software. And you'd gain followers whenever someone checks who viewed their story, and they'd see your name and then they'd decide to follow you. I know a lot of verified accounts that did this because I think there was something specifically about their checkmark that allowed them to view more stories than others. And I think it worked because people were like, oh my gosh, Ray J just viewed my story. And then they'd go follow Ray J. But I always thought it was a dumb way to grow because 99.9% of people just don't watch over 1,000 stories a day. So to be watching over 1,000 stories a day just felt like a recipe for disaster. And then two, I very rarely watch stories personally. And whenever I do post stories, I almost never go through to see who watched my story and who didn't watch my story. So the method really wouldn't work on me. So I just felt like it was a bad method in general. And also, it was like not really targeted at all. But people did gain followers with this. Again, I don't think it works anymore, but this was a way to gain followers at a point in time. And finally, we have power likes and power comments. Power likes and power comments were legitimately like the best way to grow on Instagram in 2015 to 2017, maybe 2018. But this probably falls into the category of gray hat marketing because if anything, it was just exploiting how bad Instagram's algorithm was back then. Instagram's Explore page worked a bit differently back then, where a good percentage of what you saw on the Explore page was based purely off what the people you were following were engaging with. So if you followed ESPN and then ESPN liked a random clip from an account you didn't follow, there'd be a good chance you'd see that clip on your Explore page. That concept is still somewhat true to the algorithm today, but it's a lot harder to manipulate it now, and the Explore page is much more focused on the specific recommendations on what you're interested in. Back in 2016, it was a bit more of a free-for-all. But essentially, this is when large accounts specifically liked and engaged with your content in order to go viral more easily. Hence the name Power Likes or Power Comments. It was not a standard like, it was a like that had some power to it. So here's a fun little backstory. Back in those days, there was a group on Telegram that I was a part of called Sync, where people with over 800,000 followers were all in this big group chat. And on specific times throughout the day, like 8 a.m., noon, 3 p.m., 6 p.m., 8 p.m., you could drop your username in the chat and everyone would just post exactly at those times. Then a few dozen massive Instagram accounts would like and engage with your content within seconds of you posting it, and you would like and engage with their content within seconds of posting it. That just ruined the Explore page for everybody, but people were growing like crazy. Everybody was going viral. You'd still need viral content to go viral, but it was rare to see a post flop. I'd have it down to a science where if I didn't have 3,000 views within the first 3 minutes of posting, I posted mostly videos, by the way, it wasn't likely to do over 150K views total. But if I had at least 5K views within the first 3 minutes, then it would likely have a little bit over 500K views. My biggest post ever on Sync did 15K views in the first 3 minutes of posting, and that post ended up getting like 4.5 million views and 300,000 likes. And then I got simmed a few months later. And then I thought maybe I should just stay away from some of these shady methods. But yeah, Instagram wised up and they can recognize when large accounts are just randomly engaging with people from various different niches. Accounts do have general engagement juice. Really big and active accounts are going to have some authority in determining the Explore and how feed posts are ranked. But also you, the user, decides what accounts get that power. So if you don't care about ESPN, you won't see those clips. But generally speaking, if large accounts are really picky with who they like, then Instagram will place more value in those accounts than the ones that just go around liking everything. I think we've pretty much already covered this at this point, though. Your personal interests matter a lot in determining the Explore page. But RIP power likes. Also, to summarize these black hat methods, let me be clear about why I'm mentioning this. Because if I didn't, some of you would be like, I know there's other ways to gain followers. Let me do my own research and see what I can find. And then you'd look up one of those black hat companies, and these companies would have no issues lying to you. And then that's how you get trapped into doing things that you shouldn't be doing. So that's why I go through these methods to show you, hey, they're usually not a good idea. By the way, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but I'm on Team Instagram. Please don't break Instagram's terms of service. Thank you. I don't want to get sued. So now I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about engagement and how this all comes together with growth and with content. because when you combine the two, it kind of boils down to engagement. The biggest and the most helpful thing that we've discussed so far is having good call to actions. Encouraging people to spend time with your posts and doing everything you can to retain their attention is going to maximize your engagement in the long run. If you can generate interest, you can generate engagement. Like we've already mentioned, getting people to spend the most time on your post and your account is the best way to grow. You want to be the perfect account, the account that people are addicted to. So when I say get people to spend time on your posts, that doesn't mean write long and boring captions every time when the post doesn't need a long caption. That doesn't mean post 1,000 stories every day, hoping people will sit through them. You want people to think, I wonder what they posted today. Maybe it's just a funny meme in the story. Maybe it's just a collection of pictures from a recent trip in a carousel. Whatever the case may be, keep people interested. And that usually means not posting the same thing over and over and over again. It's common knowledge and advice to try a bunch of things out when it comes to content. Find the thing that works, that gets good engagement, and then just find new ways to revise that same concept over and over again. That's very common advice, and that's generally a good idea. However, you should still continue the experiments even when you found something that works. If you have good engaging content already, you don't need to try new things all the time, but definitely sprinkle it in when things get a little stale. Make sure it's still within your niche, but have fun. So there's a theory that suggests the reason that Kanye West has one of the most hardcore, most supportive fan bases is because it's fun to be a fan of someone who gets a little crazy. The theory is something along the lines of, you want to ride the emotional roller coaster of seeing someone at their best and then seeing someone at their worst, and then see that repeat over and over again. If you think about Kanye West, he kind of has moments like that where he's at his peak and he's doing great things. And then, he'll just say something outrageous that loses half the fans, and then he'll do something great again. Riding that roller coaster is what makes people interested in him. If you've had a toxic ex-girlfriend, you know what I'm talking about. I probably shouldn't say that. And I'm not saying be like Kanye West, and I'm not saying post intentionally bad content or post content that people are going to get upset by. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is try to think of ways that your fans and your followers will ride the roller coaster. And here's a little example by that. So let's say you're selling farm tractors on Instagram, or you have some kind of really traditional business account on Instagram. Let's assume that you're very professional. Maybe one day you should do the latest hip hop dancing trend with the elderly people that work in your company. It might be funny. It might go viral. You might be surprised at how well it might do. Like, don't do anything that shatters your reputation, but you never know what might be the reason that people decide to follow you. It's okay to be silly on Instagram. It's okay to be goofy on Instagram. Nothing is that serious. I think what that roller coaster does, it shows that people are a little bit more human. And I think that human connection drives a stronger bond between you and your followers. And I think if you can drive a stronger bond between you and your followers, that can increase engagement, that can increase your reach, and then that can lead to a domino effect that helps you grow. But yeah, all things considered, I'm a fan of engagement tricks or engagement lures or really creative call to actions if they're done tastefully. This course is already going way too long, but here's some quick ones to consider. Consider creating some kind of series with your content. So as an example, on my personal Instagram, I did book reviews on my stories where I would read and review one book a week for a year and post it to my story, which in hindsight is kind of pretentious. But that got the best engagement I've ever had on my stories. For reference, these book reviews would outperform the pictures of my dog when she was a puppy. And my dog was a beautiful puppy. So if you run a car body shop page on Instagram, maybe you can post a series on the craziest car wrecks that have rolled up into the shop. Get creative with it. Find a way to keep things interesting and keep people coming back to your page. And here's one more quick engagement trick. Be intentional when you like the comments on your posts. So a general rule of thumb is to respond to comments on your post as soon as possible. Whenever someone posts something or asks a question, respond to them as soon as you can. So if you just posted something on Instagram and let's say 30 people leave a comment on it, okay? You should try to respond to those comments as soon as you possibly can. And then the next time you post, go back to that other post and then like the comments of the people who left a comment. That then triggers a notification for them. And then they'll click on the notification and see that you posted again. And they'll be more encouraged to leave another comment on the post that you just posted. There's obviously a lot of things you can do to generate interest on your account and get people to engage with you. That's just a couple examples to get the ball rolling. All right, so how 99% of people should grow on Instagram. So this section is basically going to be the summary of everything that I've talked about so far, and hopefully this makes sense on how everything comes together. So to begin, let's talk about phases of growth. 100 new followers is more significant when you have 500 followers than at 50K followers. Therefore, it makes sense to work harder for 100 followers if you only have 500 followers. So I've seen people make really technical videos about where they're from, like, if you're at 0 followers to 1,000 followers, you should be focusing on this. And from 1,000 followers to 4,000 followers, you should be focusing on this. I don't like that. I don't think you really need to do that. I think it used to be like that, but there's better ways to explain your phases of growth. So here's a pretty simple illustration I made that I hope more clearly explains a lot of the concepts that I've talked about so far. So on top here, we have the quality of content. On the left, we have 100% quality content. This is pure viral content. This is Bella Porch, Mr. Beast, Jordan Koladik. These people are at 100% viral content. And if you look down, that means they're at 0% for the number of interactions they need for growth. They don't need to be dropping comments, liking specific posts, engaging with others, etc. Their content is completely shareable, completely viral, completely sustainable on its own. They post, it works, and it gets seen by millions. Now, on the other end, we have the inverse of that. If your quality of content is at 0, that means the only way to gain followers is by intentional interactions. You need to be following people, interacting with people, commenting, liking posts, and so on. Now, obviously, if your quality of content is at 0, you can do all that stuff, but you still might not get followers. That's just life. If your content is at 0%, you're posting unironic, despicable memes, you're posting non-native promotional content, you're posting accidental screenshots, you're just making life crazy hard on yourself. Now, most people lie within this red bar here. 99% of people are here. So it's basically a bell curve. You have a small amount of people making really viral content, but you also relatively have a small number of people who post the worst content imaginable. This is like your aunt on Facebook bad. Now, the more your content increases in quality, the less interactions you'll need to maintain growth. And if you increase your quality of content and keep the same number of interactions, you'll find that your growth increases. So assuming you're somewhere on the red line, here's a good metric for what to do next. And this is typically what I recommend people when they ask me on a guideline for their interactions. So to start off, follow 15 to 30 inspiration accounts. Set their post notifications to on, comment whenever possible, add value in their comments. These accounts should be significantly larger than you. We talked about this earlier, if you remember, on what makes an inspiration account. The goal here is to learn, hopefully network, and provide value as much as you can in the comments. Then you should follow 40 to 80 peer accounts. Whenever they show up on your timeline, add value. Comment, like, engage, shoot them DMs. These accounts should be similar sized, if not slightly bigger than your account. Find a few really targeted accounts. It doesn't necessarily need to be all of them. And then set their post notifications on. This is important, by the way, because even if those peer accounts you're engaging with aren't super popular, if you can build a genuine relationship with another peer account, you'll likely have a supporter for life. They'll comment on all your stuff. They'll help you boost your engagement. It's really beneficial to build friends within your niche. The algorithm loves seeing that. And you get a ton of exposure that way. I'd say 80% of your time should be with the peer accounts, and then 20% of your time should be with the inspiration accounts. It's important to build your engagement up as much as you can from like-minded people who have a similar following to you. And then you can follow, unfollow as needed. Follow, unfollow accounts that show up in the feeds of the peer accounts, or if you have a specific target account or locations in mind, follow, unfollow those accounts. You can also follow and follow on likers and commenters of the inspiration accounts, but that definitely depends on how targeted those engagers are. Like I mentioned earlier, it's probably best with the personal trainer reference to follow, unfollow where you might find clients, not just where you might find followers, because the clients are going to be more important. You got to think about using follow and follow like you're extending your business card to people. I'd recommend following a guideline or a limit that you think is appropriate based off the limits I gave earlier. That was the Notion document link that contained the specific limits. You don't need to go all the way to the max, just do whatever you're comfortable with. Then routinely go through and remove some of your follows, not followers. If you really connect with some of the accounts or you make a sale or they're a good supporter of you, keep following them and supporting them. Ideally, you'd only want to unfollow accounts that didn't follow you back or didn't seem to have any interest in your account but followed you back anyway. Every 2 or 3 weeks, research and see if you can find more peer accounts, perhaps slightly larger than the ones you had before. If certain peer accounts weren't very receptive of you, you can unfollow them at this point too. Peer accounts that don't post frequently enough, feel free to unfollow them too. Every 2 or 3 weeks is a good time to rotate and adjust the accounts that you run follow and follow on as well. You might be surprised at which accounts give poor results and which accounts give really good results when it comes to follow and follow. Also, if you have 200, 300, 400, 500 peer accounts and inspiration accounts, great, that's fine. The numbers I gave here are really just the bare minimum. This strategy takes time, but this strategy has worked consistently on Instagram for years now. Over time, you'll force yourself out of your comfort zone. You'll meet a lot of peer accounts that post great content. You can use that content as inspiration to improve on your posts. You'll find people who write better captions. You can use that as inspiration. You'll find people who are really good at telling stories or, posting stories. You'll find people who are really good with stories in conjunction with their posts. This process is supposed to guide you along into creating quality content and help you get constant feedback over time. The goal here is to wean yourself more and more to the left of the chart so you can rely more on the content and less on the interactions. That's obviously the goal, but some people get such steady results doing follow and follow campaigns that they keep doing it even if they hit the explore consistently. You don't want to just frantically look for posts and comment and interact with as many people as possible. You want to keep the posts you interact with to be targeted, and it's usually a good idea to be following the person. That's why it's important to have a good amount of peer and inspiration accounts to engage with. If you reference the document I have linked in this Notion sheet, you should be mindful of action limits. Instagram won't let you comment 200 times a day and follow 400 people. You'll likely get blocked. Getting action blocked by Instagram isn't going to limit your reach though, but it will obviously limit the number of people who you can interact with, and that might limit your reach. If you're serious about doing this method, which I think most people should be, consult the guide I posted earlier in the follow and follow section for action limits. It includes limits that you should be aware of so you can do this without getting action blocked. So here's some examples of how you would go about with this strategy. If you run a coffee shop in Dallas, an inspiration account would be one of the top baristas in the world. A peer account would be a different coffee shop in Dallas, or maybe Austin, or maybe just one of your neighboring businesses. And then based on how specific you get, you can choose to run follow and follow on different coffee shops in Dallas or those neighboring businesses. If you run a photography business, an inspiration account would be someone like Jordy, who we've mentioned already. A peer account would be photographers in the same niche or perhaps photographers in your local area. And then you can run follow and follow on the engagers of other photographers in the same niche or something along those lines. I think 2 examples are probably enough. Hopefully you get the picture. You gotta exhaust your daily comments as much as you can on those peer and inspiration accounts. Be helpful, be thankful, be supportive, don't self-promote, and make sure your comments aren't just copy and pasted. They all need to be unique. Copy and pasted comments will lead to quicker action blocks. And I guess as far as a content strategy, Content is important. The underlying assumption here is that you are posting consistently. You are self-analyzing your content and attempting to recreate your most engaging type of content. You are actively trying to improve the time people spend on your posts, the reels you create, the engagement you get, the story views you receive, and so on. The assumption here is that you have your content figured out. You're trying to improve it as much as possible, and you're working on moving your content closer and closer to 100% on the chart. That should be the most important takeaway here. A lot of the interaction strategies are not as important as creating the best content possible in your niche. That should be priority number one. So I'm going to give you a lot of example of some of these 1% accounts in the last chapter. But in this chapter, I'm going to give you one example. And that example will let you see thousands of examples. So the example I'm going to give you is the Lucas O'Keefe. There are obviously other niches that use this strategy, but the Instagram marketing niche is the most clear example that I could give you. Go to his account, go to his comments, click on any account, go to their comments, click on any account, repeat this 6,000 times. You will see thousands of accounts doing this strategy. It is so odd, but it's actually pretty funny. I like Lucas. I think he makes good content. I think he's super helpful. He's very consistent. And clearly, all these Instagram marketers, digital marketers, brand marketers, graphic designers are all doing the strategy because they know it works. They create a lot of content. Sure, it looks like a cult, but they are hardworking people and they're doing this strategy right. All these accounts like each other, comment on each other, shout each other out, do promotions, do all of that stuff. They do giveaways, hashtag laddering, you name it. Everything I mentioned, they all do. Some of the accounts don't do follow and follow. Some do. It depends. Some will preach against it. And like I've said already, those accounts are generally wrong about that. My only issue with this is that they're all saying the same thing and they're convincing each other that they're not. And a lot of the content that they make is meant for each other. So it's practically an echo chamber. So basically, you end up having Instagram marketers making content for other Instagram marketers, brand strategists making content for other brand strategists, logo designers making content for other logo designers. But it all works and these accounts grow. I think it's all a bit goofy just to see how obvious it is. The comments crack me up because the most basic, boring posts will get hyped up out of this world with like really long responses. It's so funny. And just crack open a beer and go scrolling through these comments. It's a good time. I mean, we're almost done anyway. By the way, your niche won't have as obvious of a footprint as the Instagram marketing niche, so just keep that in mind. I should also be clear though, the 1% of growth that is happening here are from the accounts that create the best content. There are a lot of accounts in the comment section that are on the right path, but they aren't growing as much as Lucas is. There are plenty of accounts in those comment sections that have less than 200 followers and are stuck there. Content matters, value matters. If you look at some of these accounts with 200 followers, there's a clear difference in quality of those accounts compared to Lucas. All right, I'm going to go through the strategy now and we'll see how many accounts in a row will hit that are doing this strategy. So, wait, what was this? Instagram story ideas that actually work. View comments. We'll go here. IG strategy and marketing. Nice. 5 Instagram trends of 2022 predicted. 186 comments. We'll just scroll down a little bit here. We'll go here. Tanatech Solutions. Instagram Marketing 101. That's our jam. 52 comments. The Taylor, we'll go here. Instagram Strategist. Why not? How the algorithm works. 21. Loudbird Marketing. Social media strategy. Very nice. Are you guys getting it yet? Are you guys getting the trend yet? Socially Hannah. Nice. Oh, that's a reel. We won't go to that one. Ooh, we're getting close to the end here. Social media oh. This is, I love this. Social media manager and coach. 40 comments. Wait, how many followers did she have? 476 followers and 40 comments. That sure. Okay. 70 likes. 70 likes. And it's so funny, man. This is so funny. I'm Dan Thomas. Hi, Dan. Social media marketing. Insta Bootcamp. Free. Oh, nice. 3-day live event. This is what I do on the weekends. I go through the echo chambers on Instagram that I find. Should we read some of these comments? I haven't read any of them. What to do after you post, which content is best, what to do when growth stops, how to own 2022. This is why you're broke. Wow. Why am I broke? I didn't even read I should read some of these. This is why you're broke. You're not broke because how many followers? I was monetized. Good job. You're broke because two simple things. You're afraid to launch. You're not clear on your offer. Yeah, people. Okay. It'd be really cool if we could go full circle and find Lucas again in the comment sections. I don't think we're gonna find. We're getting. Nope. I don't think we're gonna go full circle. Oh, I got so excited. I thought that was it. This course has taken way too much time to create. I question why I'm doing this. I don't think any courses are worth that much money, though. Conor McGregor liked that? Wait, Conor McGregor liked... What? That's actually hilarious. Conor McGregor and 29 others liked this post. Oh, that's so crazy. That's so funny. Jolt Marketing Media. Oh, we'll go full circle. There he is. All right. So hopefully you get what I mean. This is what people are doing. Obviously, it's exaggerated because it's in the Instagram marketing niche. But whatever niche you're in, this is how people grow. All right. So let's talk about making money now on Instagram. Instagram's main utility is your mobile homepage, as we discussed earlier. That being said, you should treat it as a representation of your personal brand or your company's professional mobile landing page. From what I've seen, the accounts that do Instagram the best treat it like this. By the way, I don't like the idea of creating accounts for the sole purpose of making money. I'm not a fan of that idea, and I think that's the wrong approach. Also, just be aware of all the fake influencers and the fake gurus in this niche telling you that you're going to be a millionaire on Instagram, because 99 times out of 100, they're going to try to sell something to you. Don't listen to the micro influencers that are making 10K a month. By the way, micro influencers, these people who have less than 5K followers saying that they got all these brand deals or they have all these sponsorships or whatever the case may be, and they're just telling you that they're making buku bucks on Instagram. Just take it with a grain of salt. It's usually manipulative for whatever reason, or they're massively destroying their account's potential by doing shill ads all the time. They're basically selling their soul, or they're just saying that to sell you a course. Just always be on guard whenever some guru is flexing and telling you that you're not making enough money. I've tried really hard over the years with my ebook not to ever try to project the message that if you buy this ebook, you're going to make money, or if you buy this ebook, you're going to get rich, or I show you what you're missing out on. My ebook talks about monetization methods. I think there might be 10 different methods of making money, but they're very broad. So for example, one of the methods would be like affiliate marketing. Like, here's how to sign up with an affiliate marketer. The other ones would be like how to sell shoutouts. Here's how to sign up with shoutout networks. Other ones would be like, here's how to sign up as an Amazon affiliate. So if you want to promote items from Amazon on your Instagram page, this is how you do that. I've never I've never given people like an exact method, nor have I really ever endorsed an exact method. But things are changing a little bit on Instagram. Instagram is clearly taking an approach to more of a shopping angle, as we know now with the release of the Instagram Shops button. Also, in regards to Instagram's own personal corporate $1 billion investment into their creators, do not make that your primary focus. That needs to be an afterthought. You should have a stricter idea of how to make money on your Instagram rather than this idea that Instagram is just going to pay you for content. I don't think that's a good approach. There are companies like Aspire and #paid or any other influencer network that you can join that can help you get connected with brands. There are a lot. Again, that's not typically the route that I would have gone through, but I know that's going to work for a lot of people just to sign up with one of these networks and find these companies that are willing to give you brand deals. And I think that also might be one of the easiest ways to make money, where you don't necessarily need to have business experience. You don't necessarily need to learn how to sell through a funnel or anything like that. It's much more copy and pasted, where a brand will say, hey, please post this. And then you say, okay, I'll post that. And I think for a lot of people, that's going to be a good option. If you can, though, try to stay away from feed posts, sponsorships, and shoutouts and brand deals if you can. I know it's going to be pretty hard to stay away from the feed posts, but if you can consolidate all of your sponsorship deals onto your stories, and if you can sell shoutouts on your stories, that's going to be a much, much better way to go about doing things. You can link things now pretty easily in the stories. You don't need to have 10K followers anymore to link in your stories. So that's just a simple route to sell things. Your collaborations and your opportunities to make money and your ability to make money is going to be varied wildly from niche to niche. A coder who makes carousels about coding languages and informative topics might get a DM offer randomly for a $10,000 a month consulting contract, whereas a lifestyle influencer with 10K followers might get a shill offer to sell sunglasses for $50. Things are just going to vary wildly on your skill and your audience and your niche. And that's why I mentioned in the beginning to have a thorough plan. I don't like the idea of telling yourself, I'm just going to post about my life, try to do these tips to get to 100K followers, and then see if I can make money. Don't do that. Do you have interests? Can you monetize your interests? Do that. Learn how to monetize your interests, and that's going to be the best advice you get. I can't give you better advice than that. Try not to fall under schemes. You'll probably get DM requests to promote crypto. You might get DM requests to promote NFTs. And I don't really care if you think that's a good investment or not. Personally, I think I'm pretty indifferent towards it. But just know there's going to be certain niches like making money online, crypto, NFTs that are just going to be riddled with scams. So just be cautious with all of that. But if you have ability and you have skills and you have interests, you can make money. I've made offers to work with people based off their ability. Like, this is a real thing that people do. I needed a graphic designer for some of my Instagram posts. I found one, I offered him some money, and we got to work. So shout out to my boy. I just stumbled across him one day. I sent him a DM and we started working together. Again, I'm not trying to give you non-advice by saying, figure it out, try a bunch of things. I'm telling you that you should know your worth. You should know how to negotiate with people. You should know how to sell things, and you should know how to conduct a business. Those are things that no Instagram course is going to teach you, because all of those things are a 5-10 hour course on their own. That's why I'm kind of against the idea of drop shipping random viral products or these drop shipping courses that tell you how to make money. It's not focused on any specific talent or trait that you've obtained. There are rarely any business skills that are being taught, and there's often this expectation that you already know a bunch of things, like setting up a Shopify store, buying hosting, buying domain, whatever it may be. I don't think you learn how to make real money from Instagram courses like this, or really any course. Because if I told you, here's what you got to do to make $500 a day on Instagram, then it becomes a get-rich-quick scheme where there's no talent or trait or skill involved. And I'm in the group of people that believe in order to make money, you need to have a highly developed skill, especially online and especially on social media. If you're a company, try to incorporate your products as natively as possible. Don't try to force sell on Instagram unless you're comfortable with destroying your reach. Whenever your followers see posts where it's so blatantly an advertisement, they're not going to engage with it. Try to get your followers to engage with you. And that really goes for whether you're a personal account or a business account or a niche account when you're trying to sell something. Do it natively. And that's really all I have to say about making money on Instagram. Because it never sits well with me whenever I see people giving really specific advice on how to make money, because there's so many different ways to make money. And it's going to be so highly individualized to you and your skill set and your ability and your knowledge and your content and your time and so on. But if you want some confirmation, now's as good a time as ever to make money on Instagram. I think growth has kind of suffered in the past 3 to 4 years, but I think your ability to make money is as good as it's ever been on Instagram. So that's pretty much it. I'm sorry that there's no secret method. I'm sorry that there's no foolproof guide. Yes, there's definitely guidelines on proper ways to conduct business, but again, everything is so individualized. And this is when it comes down again to inspiration accounts and peer accounts, where you should be monitoring what happens in your niche and understand how to do it yourself. All right. Cool accounts, neat examples, things of interest, and Ethan's opinion corner. The finale. So I didn't know what to name this section. And it's basically just final thoughts and more examples that I wanted to share for various reasons. A lot of this course, by the way, was scripted, if you couldn't tell. I just didn't want to forget things, and I've taken way too many hits to the head in football to attempt to do something like this without some kind of script. The full transcripts, by the way, will be available on the Notion document as well. So let's just take a look at some accounts that I like, and I'll give positive feedback, and then I'll give my closing thoughts. I apologize that this ending is kind of a mess. So starting off, we have, I'm not quite sure how to say his name, but this is a good account if you're wondering how to showcase your photography in a Reels format. I know we talked about Jordy previously, but this guy has a pretty similar style and it works really well for him. He's a photographer, and in one of his videos, he presents a photo by having it in a countdown, which I like because it's going to force people to watch the video, giving a positive signal to the algorithm that you are interested in the content. All right, so next we have Made by James. This is just a really good graphic design account. He pretty actively shows his process through Carousels. It's got a really cool aesthetic, so big shout out to James. He does really cool work and he gets good engagement. 2,000 likes, hundreds of comments, good stuff. So Becca Means is a TikToker who transferred a lot of her TikTok audience to Instagram. She gets really good engagement, good consistent content. She keeps it aligned with the theme of her TikTok. She got most of her followers from TikTok, I believe. I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but I think she has over 1 million on TikTok, and she managed to grow her Instagram to 250,000. I think this account is a really good example of someone who brought their TikTok energy to Instagram, who's kind of, and I think she's pretty much technically a lifestyle. I'd probably classify her as a lifestyle page. But she brought that energy from TikTok to Instagram, and she still has super native content on Instagram that's still true to the energy that she had on TikTok, if that made sense. Max Taylor Lift is another really good example too, who's translating his audience on TikTok to Instagram. He has links in his bio, he gets insane engagement, and he keeps his reels off his feed grid, and I like that. It's a nice touch. It looks clean. Set Active is a really interesting brand. They take a lot of influence from the Yeezy brand, but they're a good example of how to create content for a clothing company that's native. It doesn't look like they regularly post pictures that you'd find on their store to their Instagram, which I think is a good sign. But they still have a nice level of similarity between their Instagram and their store. So they have good native content, but it still themes very well with their store. So I thought that was really cool. Okay, and then we have Rad Dad, which is one of the best monetization strategies I've seen on a meme account. I like how they just throw their merch on the memes in the carousel. I think it's really hard to monetize comedy accounts, and I think they're doing a really good job. Zach King is another really good example. You're probably familiar with him. He's one of the most consistent viral mobile creators out there. Dude kills it. Check out his account. The Instagram account Black, which is one of the most aesthetic feeds, it has very good usage of all the different media formats that Instagram offers. I like how they just have Black story highlight covers. Lots of cool stuff there. I like brands that are super consistent like that. So I'm going to blur this username out. But earlier we talked about native content and what non-native content looks like and what kind of content you should be using as a brand. And I'm going to blur their username out, but here's an example of an account that I think doesn't do it very well. They're very heavy on their promotional images, and I think their content's not horribly unnative, but it's definitely not super native. And whenever your content is so geared around your brand, I think it's kind of hard to get organic growth. So I guess this is my only example of what not to do, but I think it's worth checking out to kind of see the differences between this account and then the next account. And the next account is Gorilla Mind. And Gorilla Mind, I think, is another supplement company like the previous one. But Gorilla Mind has a much better grasp on how to promote their native content. And they don't overly promote their products. So they have a good mixture of reels that are in the fitness niche that are educational and funny, but they're not like overly promoting their products. So they do create really good engaging content, and they also just spread brand awareness, which is, I think that's just a better way to go about things. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much, the course is pretty much over. So just to go over the summaries of the course. So if you just skip to the end to see the summaries, or if you stuck through it, thank you for watching this video. But let's go over the summaries of the course just to kind of highlight, I guess, what I think is probably the most important messages that I tried to get across during the course. So number one, treat Instagram like your homepage. Instagram isn't dead. It's just going to serve a different purpose moving forward. So Instagram isn't a photo sharing app anymore. And I don't think you should have this expectation that you can gain a lot of followers by just posting photos. I think you definitely need to expand, and I think you definitely need to consider all the different types of media formats that you should be using in order to grow your Instagram account. Use TikTok, create reels, post your reels to TikTok and YouTube Shorts to get the most out of your effort. Even if you refuse to create TikToks, use TikTok to get better inspiration for your content at the bare minimum so you can stay up to date with the most relevant content creators in your niche. Don't overcomplicate the algorithm. It's basically just going to put the most engaging content in front of the people who they think want to see it. There are no tricks or secrets to make your content more fit for the algorithm. It's completely and purely related to how your audience reacts to it and how engaging your content is. Whenever you get mad at the algorithm, replace the word with audience. Follow inspiration and peer accounts in your niche. Study what they do right. Study their engaging content and learn from it. Leverage the peer accounts to increase your engagement as much as you possibly can by helping them increase their engagement. Add value in the comment section, but never hijack or spam someone else's comment section. Answer questions from the other people that go unanswered. Be supportive to people, be friendly, be knowledgeable. The energy you put out in the universe will return to you. Avoid black hat methods. It's not worth it. Learning how to do things the correct way is way more beneficial. It's way more sustainable. And I think it's generally a better idea. Instagram wants you on their app as long as possible. So the most important factor in determining engagement is the time they spend on your content and on your account. Maximize the time people commit to you. Don't bore them. Don't make long captions for no reason. You need to be the perfect balance of keeping things interesting and keeping their attention. Find ways to make your account addicting. I know that sounds like non-advice, but you want your account to be memorable and something that people like to check in on. Organic growth without reels is practically dead on Instagram. The chances of you blowing up and going viral without creating reels is low. It is still possible, It's definitely still possible, but it is very, very, very difficult. You'll have an easier time creating reels if you want organic growth. Instagram will likely go through some UI changes this year. They'll likely change up how their app looks and how people interact with it. I don't think it'll affect much of what I said in this course. If Instagram brings back chronological order, it won't be the primary default option. I think most things regarding the algorithm are going to stay the same. There are no follower thresholds you need to monetize your account. You can sell and promote stuff whenever, either directly or indirectly, but don't be surprised if you don't sell many t-shirts at 40 followers. Engagement is everything. Find the mixture of quality and quantity that allows you to post content that's still engaging. Post, 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 at least once a day in the form of a story, a reel, or a feed post. A lot of the old methods don't matter much anymore. Finding the best time to post doesn't matter that much. Finding the perfect hashtags don't matter that much. Optimizing your bio and your profile picture doesn't matter nearly as much as it seems. It's all going to come down to your ability to create engaging content. If you can create engaging content, then you'll get organic reach on the Explore, on the Suggested, and you'll get followers. An effective engagement strategy or interaction strategy is necessary for 99% of people who want growth. The worse your content is, the more you'll need to interact with others to grow, and vice versa. Understand business fundamentals before selling things through your Instagram. Don't expect an Instagram course or a TikTok course or a Shopify course to teach you how to become better at business. Read books, take selling courses, free ones if you can. Be wary of gurus who try to tell you otherwise, and be wary of people who try to sell you get-rich-quick schemes. Don't switch niches on Instagram. If you do, start a new account. If you have to post a different type of content on Instagram, make sure your audience will be on board. If your audience won't be on board, then at least post them to Reels so they still have a chance of getting reach. The follow-unfollow method can be very effective if you have a good targeting method, but buying giveaway or celebrity loop followers is near pointless. If you don't accept the new meta of Reels, you're going to get left behind. I'm seeing this already with some really powerful influencers who blew up in 2015 to 2018 before the rise of TikTok, and they made little to no Reels, and their engagement has fallen off hard. Especially if you're a personal account, you need to embrace it. Otherwise, there'll be new influencers in your niche that are going to embrace it and replace you. Trust me on that. It's already happening. There's a new wave of influencers coming through, and the old ones are going to slowly die down. Avoid echo chambers. It's super, super, super common in the Instagram marketing niche. I've noticed 200 follower accounts with 80 comments, and they're all from the same people on every single one of their posts. Don't always interact and engage with the same people. Make new friends and find a way to stick out. And finally, whenever Instagram releases a new feature, give it a try. Instagram tends to give the first people on board an unfair advantage. I'd highly recommend you using that to your benefit. Right now, that unfair advantage is Instagram Reels. And that's it. This course went way too long. I'm sorry about that. I hope it helped. If it did, drop a comment and just tell me what you learned, if you learned anything. And if you didn't learn anything, roast me in the comment section. Say something mean. I don't know. I appreciate all feedback. I really do appreciate it. If you learned something, tell me. If you didn't learn something, or if you think I'm wrong about something, tell me. I very well could have been wrong on things. Or if you just disagree with my opinion on things too, just feel free to tell me. And if I am wrong, I'll update the Notion sheet and we'll make sure that everything is accurate and helpful. So thank you for watching.